The moment has arrived.
I pushed the button. It's going to work.
This is going to be scary good, man.
I'm sorry?
We're killing it. It's Maddie Levine with my good friend Dave Van Auken. Welcome to the Fight Banana Show.
The ruthless one, Elle Dawson.
Hey, guys.
Our girl, Gillian the Savage Robertson.
What's up? How you guys doing?
Welcome to the Fight Banana Show. 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern, only on Fight Bananas.
Far away. Here we go. That's better.
I love your mojo right now, Maddie. I love it.
Dude. We're
Look at
fucking
the hair.
dude. We're vibing. All right, so this is what happens, guys. Guys.
Awesome.
This is what happens when it hits 75 degrees in Rhode Island. The vitamin D is like flowing through my body. I was like, I'm going to do my hair today. I'm going to get outside today. I'm going to get sunburnt today. Dude, y'all take your sun for granted in Florida, okay?
Oh, we do not. I'm out there every day.
Dude.
I love the sun. I forget everybody else has seasons. And I'm like, why do you live there?
It is 73 and sunny, and I am living my best life.
For one, Maddie, I love that for you. I love that. You look amazing. And trust me, Elle doesn't need the sun. Our Friday show is around Elle Dawson's sun time area. It's like, Elle, whenever you want to come on, because we know you have to do your sun date. So Fridays for Elle. Fridays for Elle. You guys deserve though. Guys, welcome to the Fight Banana Show live every Tuesday. Was last week maybe the best show ever? Yeah, possibly.
1,000%.
Definitely was.
Rocky 1 was amazing. Can we see Rocky 2 today? We will try here in Fight Bananas. Dave Van Auken, Maddie Levine, Elle Dawson. Guys, we have Karate Combat World Champion. I've been saying champion for the last day. I'm sorry. World Champion. Ross Levine at 130. We got the Savage one, Gillian the Savage Robertson at 2. We got two great guys. We got Keelan and Mystic Black in the second hour. We might have Moya Kano coming out at some time. Also, JJ Aldridge just reached out. She's fighting this weekend. She's in St. Louis already. She might jump on at any time.
Nice.
It's wild, guys. We're a live show. We're a living, breathing, cellular organism. We're breathing right now.
We're just living and breathing. I do want to say about last week's show, Dustin Poirier was fantastic. I mean, everybody that was on the show was fantastic, but I got so much feedback from Fight Bananas fandom.
Everywhere.
They loved it. They loved the episode. They loved that Dustin was on it. I got some serious cool points, but I have to explain to people that I just pretend like I'm cool and Dave bought into it. So now I get to like be with the cool kids. So shout out to an awesome podcast last week. But yeah, I'm excited. How was everybody's weekend? Good?
That's good.
Real quick on one thing on last week, if we can. We've done a lot of stuff here in Fight Bananas Land, a lot of stuff with commentary. Maddie, I love when you and I do those live post shows. I get a ton of feedback, always from those when we do that. So much. But if I could say, I've never got that much response from one singular thing we've done in Fight Bananas Land. That Dustin Poirier interview was everywhere. Every media outlet picked it up. I saw everything was quote tweeting us, quote showing the videos. Twitter. There was one Twitter of Maddie and Dustin going back and forth that got over 400,000 views. Just one thing on Twitter. I'm telling you, it was everywhere and anywhere.
Where's my money, bruh?
Where's
my money?
Of course you are. So it was awesome. The diamond. And I think the winner of the Dustin Poirier signed shirt, Elle Dawson's taking care of that for us. I literally just sent out the hot sauce. So we give. We are not takers here at Fight Bananas. We are givers.
We are a giving podcast.
Shirts in here. I literally just got them signed today. That would have been cool.
Oh,
I'll make
grab it. Oh okay, yeah. Just go. It's Tuesday again already. What's up, Keelan? We'll talk to you in the second hour, dude. I love us some Keelan, man. The best. But Maddie, let's answer the question that you kind of asked the weekend. The weekend was phenomenal. The weekend, guys, the New York Knicks are playing playoff basketball. The UFC had a pay-per-view. We had a watch-along once again, myself, John Radford, and Michael Garapy. Woo!
That's sick.
We're giving those away. We're not charging anyone. We're not telling you have to do 10 loops.
I wouldn't say we're not charging anybody. At least subscribe to us, okay? Think of that as your charge.
Yeah, dude, it's a
At least
free.
try
All
to
us on
be
everything.
Yeah.
Ah.
Thank you, L. Dawson, for doing that.
I
So,
love it.
but no, the weekend was awesome, Maddie. I loved it. L was on some of the Fight Bananas as well too on the watch along. I'd be the first one to say it. I was dead wrong on UFC 301. To me, it was a great show. Very, very fun main card, upsets, quick, finishes. The main event went 5 rounds. I definitely want to talk about, because I've been hearing the word robbery in that main event, which is so baffling to me. So we'll definitely do that. So I thought UFC 301 was awesome. And L, more flowers for you. You were so spot on the King of Rio, Jose Aldo. I was dead wrong on it. So there you go.
It was pure bias making my pick. It was not thought out. There was no deep analysis that went into that. That was just me betting with my heart.
I love that. I love that. That's why we always follow our hearts, people. It'll lead you to the money. But full disclosure, I was at a going away party over the weekend, so I had to watch all the highlights of
Who was
UFC
going away?
301. My good
What's his
friend
name?
my good friend Nikki is moving to Tampa.
You should come with.
I know. Trust me, I know. But
it's so hot and beautiful here in Florida.
I know. Whatever, guys. Whatever. I will move to Florida one day. But from what I did see at UFC 301, it was fantastic. And we have to talk about Jose Aldo and how he looked like the younger fighter over the weekend, which was incredible. You gotta wonder, after looking that good, why he retired in the first place. Why do you guys think he even retired?
I think losing to Merab made him that was his dang, I'm not going to get to fight for a belt again. Because I really think that when he went down in weight, it was with the intention of winning a belt at bantamweight, and I think he got there. The Jan fight happened. It obviously things just he never quite got back to that position.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like losing to Merab, he probably felt like, well, I'm not going to get another title shot. I've had this obscenely and amazing career, so dominant at featherweight, and coming back down to 135, which I know I was like, he's never going to make weight. And if he does, he'll be a shell of a man. There's just no way we're going to see a good Jose Aldo at 135. And how wrong was I? He beat some of the best guys in that weight class. I wonder if it's just maybe a little bit of burnout, a little bit of that. I'm not going to win the belt again.
Right. And you look at his age, and I'm sure he was weighing a lot of pros and cons. Absolutely. Great point, Darnell. Sometimes that nice little break is just the perfect reset. And so often you see these fighters just turn and burn, or at least they try to. The UFC, it's a little more difficult to turn and burn, but yeah, I think that
Gillian's coming on at 2:00 about turning and burning. There you go.
Okay. But I think that break did him wonders. Do you think this is the return of Jose Aldo?
Yeah, why not? I thought it was going to be one of two things. Either he was going to lose and retire, or he was going to win and retire. And he didn't seem I figured, he's in Rio. He's going to, if he has this great performance, he's like, all right, that's it. I'm going out. I smashed this young gun that everybody's so high on, that was my swan song. That was the final moment. And he didn't seem to have that attitude. So right. There's a lot of guys I want to see him fight at 135 still. We were talking about him fighting Corey Sandhagen, Dave and I were, and what a fight would that be?
Yeah. I like it. I saw a couple, they were definitely clickbaity titles, but it caught my interest. And I'm curious to see if you guys think that there is any scenario where Jose and Sean O'Malley fight in the near future.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dave says 0.
I mean, it could happen. I doubt it, but that would be such a massive fight.
Yeah.
Let's say they match up. A lot of people have been talking about Jose and Cruz. Like I said, I would love to see Sandhagen, but he got matched up So that's not happening next, or at least not soon, unless Jose decides he wants a long layoff and then he fights winner of Umar and Corey. But like, if he beats a Corey Sandhagen, or let's say he fights Dominic Cruz next, I feel like if he beats Dominic Cruz, they probably would give him somebody in like the top 3, I would assume, like somebody in that mix. And then if he beats somebody like that, he had a close fight with Merab.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the UFC would prefer to have Jose Aldo be the bantamweight champion than Merab Dvalishvili, which is kind of sad because Merab's so dang good.
Dude,
but just the story and the style of his fights, I could see them wanting to push that over Merab. And Jose Aldo did have a close fight with him. Merab was like 0 for 14 on takedowns. Maybe they rematch them. And if Jose Aldo like wins that fight, like split decision or close decision, it makes sense. I don't know why the UFC wouldn't want a huge pay-per-view with Sean O'Malley and Jose Aldo headlining.
For real. I do like the Merab rematch though. As soon as you said that, my ears kind of perked up a bit, because it's like, did he need a performance like last weekend to kind of like reinvigorate himself and be like, all right, I'm fucking Jose Aldo. Like, I can do this. You know what I mean? Like, I would be down for a rematch. Dave says 0 shot.
Jose Aldo never fights for the UFC again.
Never fights again.
Never fights again. That was it.
Interesting.
I'm a tad disappointed too. El, we talked about it, that he didn't do a little bit of the retirement in Rio, put the gloves in, jumped in the crowd, something of that nature. And of course, Jose, after winning that fight and beating a good prospect, you're like, whoa, I'm kind of back. Like he thinks he's there. Guys, it was the last fight of his deal. I think on this open market now in 2024 with PFL would love a Jose Aldo to fight for them in Saudi. Love. It would be a huge take for them. Guys, I don't know. Bare knuckle just with Connor, that thing, if they overpay for him. I know Gamebred Boxing has had Jose Aldo fight for him before. Him and Dean too have a great relationship. I just think him on the open market and not having to be under the UFC umbrella, he can do some different things. Doesn't have to ask for the UFC's, acceptance of doing something.
Whatever.
I feel like he'll take another thing, one or two, and one thing will lead to another. I don't think Jose Aldo ever fights again. To me, this came up really out of nowhere. Like, he was retired, should have been retired, like in the UFC Hall of Fame. I just think if Alex Pieda, if Izzy and DDP was the UFC main event of UFC 300, Alex and Jamal Hill would main event 301. Pantoja would have been the co-main event, and they never would have brought back Jose to begin with. I honestly do believe that. It kind of came at a necessary thing. And I'm just going to throw this out there. The UFC has been selling out and breaking gates wherever they went. And I know DC talked about Madonna concert in Brazil, and so did John Anik. Guys, there was a lot of empty seats there. It just looks bad. Like, I'm just being honest, as I'm looking at the crowd of the main event, and it looked half empty. Like, that's not the UFC pay-per-view. That's not their, like, Salt Lake City is bulking. There's people hanging from the rafters, and wherever they go, they got Spain to go to with Ilia Topuria. God forbid if they do a Hawaii thing with Max Holloway. They got so much to go to. South Africa.
Even the 3 a.m. Manchester card sold out.
Yeah, like they got a lot of stuff. Guys, I don't think I'm telling you, my gut opinion, Jose Aldo never fights in the UFC again.
Hot take. You're not far out. Has he done, when he originally retired, did he do the gloves in the cage? Did he do that?
No, not with Merab. No.
Okay.
I think it was kind of after the fact. It wasn't like a thing.
So
and
Dave, I kind of agree. I would have liked to see that too.
That's why I feel like he's not, or at least he doesn't.
I like that.
I feel like he doesn't think he's done, like
yeah. I mean, the PFL, I feel like the PFL does nothing for him. I don't see that happening. I definitely see more of a boxing thing. I understand money talks, I get it, but I definitely see boxing over PFL.
Right. I agree.
If they go to Saudi Arabia, and we talked about it on Friday's show, and Maddie, we never mentioned it on Tuesday, and I'm happy we did it. It was so raw. To me, Francis Ngannou is not fighting for the PFL anytime soon, and shouldn't be fighting that. And I hope the PFL doesn't ask him to be brutally honest. So I'm just going to say that out loud. They need a draw. Like, what is your, like, the Francis Fiera main event was kind of their draw. Tell me in Saudi Arabia at the end of the year, it's Jose Aldo versus, I don't know, any other Clay Collard. Like, that's must-see TV. That's fun. Like, I don't know. What's their draw if it's not a new free agent?
Yeah.
Kayla's gone. Francis not fighting.
Tough.
Jake Paul's not fighting.
They're in a tough spot. They're in a tough spot for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think it's Jose Aldo, though. Absolutely not. Mauricio, how do you say? Rufy?
Rufy?
Mauricio Rufy. What a guy.
Good. So good.
God, everybody was talking about this man. McGregor, is he McGregor 2.0? Like, I don't even know. I loved how in the post-fight interview, everybody was asking about, like, how do you feel about the comparison? He was flattered, but it was almost like, it's not that he was surprised, but it was almost like he didn't think people were going to say that to him. Like, if you're going to implement, if I go into a cage and I'm like, oh, Conor McGregor is like my idol, like, let me like implement my game plan to look like his, you would think you'd say that in the post-fight presser, but he was just kind of like, oh yeah, like, I'm flattered by that. Thanks, guys. Like, as if it was like a weird coincidence.
Yeah.
But what do you guys think about his striking and just like, I mean, what a debut.
He was just flowing. Like he was willing to take risks and stuff. And I think guys like that we tend to see become a little more conservative as they start fight, especially in a division like lightweight, which is just so tough and so stacked. Like, you get in the rankings, you aren't cartwheel kicking people, or you're not usually winning fights. Yeah. But like he really is a special fighter, and I think a lot of the lightweights like took notice of him. So I'm really interested to see how they kind of play his career if they decide to slow roll him and like give him the interest he should get, or
they're gonna fast track him.
The character, he's exciting, he's flashy. Let's give him a Matt Frivola like we would love to see. Is he ready for that? We'll see.
It's so tough, guys. I don't know why, as a society, we do this, dude. Ruffy looked awesome. Like, that was the thing Saturday night that we were like kept on talking about or bringing it back during our live watch along. We posted about him. We had clips about him. He was maybe the dark horse star of UFC 301. He was amazing. Yeah. But why do we have to already say, oh, he's Conor McGregor 2.0? And I saw that on 15 different MMA outlets. Yeah. Like, if a young girl is beautiful, she doesn't have to be Cindy Crawford. She can just be a young, beautiful girl. Like, why does LeBron James have to be Michael Jordan? Thank you for that.
One media outlet puts it out for clickbait, and then it works. And so all the other media outlets see it and go, oh, clickbait. And, they just like pump out the headline. But I agree. I don't think I think there are fighters that have a way more McGregor-esque style.
Okay. So I was going to ask you that too, El, because full disclosure, I watched the highlights. I was at the party, whatever. But from what the highlights I did see, like, it was kind of uncanny a couple of times, like the stance and the in and outs and like the, the timing and all that stuff. And like,
a lot of guys fight like that.
Yeah, like, that's fair.
And I don't think his, like, he didn't have quite the same style to him, in my opinion. I also think he's a very well-rounded guy. Like, he's not strictly a striker. I think he's a pretty solid fighter across the board. So it didn't stick out to me. I'm kind of surprised that people were like over the top with it. Okay. Sure, there's some resemblance. Absolutely. But yeah, I think he's got his own style.
Yeah.
To me, it's such a bad, and you're trying to give him a compliment. So I do get it that when other people say it and other media outlets bring it up, but that's such a overbearing example or analogy to put on a young fighter like Ruffy. Like, just let him be him. Like, I don't know about you guys, I'm a different man or a different commentator announcer than I was at the beginning of it. Just let Ruffy grow in his MMA experience in life. Right. It's like, you're Conor McGregor 2.0. It's like, whoa. Like,
now, and honestly, knock out everybody you fight.
Yeah. Like, imagine if they go, hey, Dave, you're John Anik 2.0. I'm like, dude, that's too much.
No, but like, shame on that reporter though, who asked him like about an Islam matchup. Like, slow the fuck down, okay? Like, stop trying to get your highlight reel article. Yeah. And like, this is coming from a freaking journalist, okay? Like,
he made his debut, guys.
Like, literally, like, yes, he had a phenomenal debut, but you're not going to just go and fight the champion. Okay. Like, stop trying to get dirt. Stop trying to get the headline. Okay. Just do your job.
Malarkey is not quite the same as
God, just do your job. It just, that shit pissed me off. But I would say those were the 2 stars. Those were the 2 stars, right? Mauricio and Jose.
Yeah, probably. And so we've been 20 minutes. We haven't, other than me one time about the robbery, mentioned the main event. Because I don't know, maybe I was more in the moment of it. I loved the main event. Like, I thought it was a great fight, back and forth. Yeah. And after watching, like, I think, it was the first 3 fights were like really quick finishes. And then like the Jose thing, kind of like, I was happy to watch Jose fight for 15 minutes. It went long. I was like, well, I was shocked, pleasantly shocked. Me and Elle talked about it on the betting show. I'm rooting for Jose Aldo, but I didn't think he was going to win. So in the main event was a really good fight. And this is the thing, more MMA outlets. I guess we're shitting on MMA outlets today. That's what we're doing. I love it. A close fight, anything in life, if you're close, that doesn't mean you did it. If Maddie, if you're looking at different places to live, that doesn't mean you're moving next week. Like, you're looking. That fight with Usyk was close. Usyk won a round or 2, I think, for sure. I had it actually 2-2 going into the 5th. But like, in a weird way, I know this sounds bad, Pantoja won that fight, was in control of the fight. I never thought he was going to lose the fight. Maybe I'm like a little bit biased on it, but he was winning the fight. Like, he won the fight, no doubt about it. But it was a good, close fight. Like, is that? Yeah.
No,
okay.
You're spot on. I thought Usyk for sure won round 4.
Yes.
Pantoja for sure won 3 and 5. And 2 was a really close round that I think you could have scored for either guy. Yeah. So it's like, the only people calling this a robbery are butthurt that they didn't get their plus 500 money.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the only reason people say that after a close fight, is because they lost money.
They lost money. Yeah.
Or they were wrong. That's the only reason people say that. If you are an unbiased viewer and you watch a close fight, like, you can say, I could have scored that fight one way or the other. There are rounds I could have scored for Usyk that were scored for Pantoja, but there's no way I would have scored the entire fight for Usyk. And Usyk knew he lost. He knew it was probably 2-2, and he knew he lost the 5th round. You could see it on his face after the fight. And he even said it to his coaches. He was like, 1 round. And for real, like, 1 round, and that kid could have changed his life. And I think with time and more experience, like, he's going to be there. Steve Usyk is so freaking good and talented and dangerous. And Pantoja is just like, he's elite. He's been around so long, and he's beat so many people. The dude's 10-0 against the current top 15.
Insane.
How nuts is that?
With that being said, Elle, and if you're not finished, I do apologize. I saw a great tweet, and like, it felt like it was clickbaity stuff, like always on MMA media sites. We're bashing that today. But I thought about it. I'm like, man, he actually had a good point. They said Pantoja is the 2nd greatest UFC flyweight ever. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I know he just won. It's kind of like one of those brand new things. Whoever wins is the greatest ever. It's just what people do. But then after, like, you kind of look into it, it's like who he beat, how he beat. This is his 2nd title defense. Like, you start kind of going, it's like Mighty Mouse, there's nowhere close. And, you start looking at it. It's like kind of the division went away for a couple years. I think you can actually argue it. You can argue that Pantoja is the 2nd best UFC flyweight ever.
I wish we could see him and Mighty Mouse fight. I really do.
Yeah.
I think that would be fantastic. But yeah, I agree. I think he is, like, he's right there. Like, he absolutely is the 2nd best in the world.
Because Henry Cejudo beat him, but he didn't have like a flyweight run.
Yeah. Well, like, and where he's at now, like, if you look who he's beat, how many champs in other divisions, if they've been champ a long time, a lot of times they're like, their fight roster, a lot of guys have retired, they've moved divisions. Like, he's still dominant against guys that are still active in the division. Alex Perez just had a really huge win the other night over a really tough opponent.
He's top 5.
He demolished. He absolutely demolished Alex Perez. Pantoja did. So it's
Darnell. He's putting something. We're not saying he's the number 1. They're saying after Mighty Mouse. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Mighty Mouse is the greatest flyweight ever. He's one of the greatest top 5 fighters ever. They're saying who's number 2. Like the argument was Brandon, Figueiredo, Cejudo, and Pantoja. That's the kind of your arguments or your debatable things. And like I said, I thought about, I'm like, actually, if you kind of put Pantoja's resume to those other 3, it's like, wow, he actually is. I think he is the second best.
No, Darnell. No. the dude to lose how many title shots?
Darnell, I know he's family to you, my man. I know. Trust me, I'm super pro Jillian. She's going to be on in 30 minutes. I get it. But come on now. I don't think you can be the second best ever and never win the championship. Like that has to be a part of your resume.
Yeah.
It has to.
He's an integral part of that weight class. Like he is a part of the UFC flyweight division for sure. Like beat a lot of good guys.
Yeah. Cool.
I love it.
We're 3 minutes away from middleweight world champion Ross Levine.
Yeah, and I will step out because nothing is more awkward than interviewing your husband. But before I do that, that's actually kind of funny because I was like, okay, my husband's coming on the show. Like, how do I want to handle this? Elle was great with hers and like stepped off. But it got me thinking about the very first time I ever did anything martial arts related. It was commentary for it's called Badu Jack Promotions, and it was in oh my God, Dubai. It was in Dubai. Okay.
You were in Dubai?
I went to Dubai in 2018. Wow. I got an opportunity to freaking commentate, and my husband was fighting. So I had to commentate for the first time my husband. And try not being biased with that one. Okay? Just try. I was horrendous. I like couldn't speak. It was so hard.
I can't be unbiased with Grant Dawson.
Yeah,
I can't. I say that, and we say that all the time. We're openly biased for people. Yes, I cannot be biased with Gillian Robertson. Even I can't be unbiased for Ross. If I was doing commentary, if he jabbed him, oh, look at that, best punch I've ever seen. That's who I am.
Right. That was the first and last time I have ever commentated or reported anything that my husband was fighting on because I just can't do it. I cannot do it. And I refuse. So when he comes back on, I will politely get out and hang out with my puppy.
You are going to Austin, Texas, though, right?
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah. See, when I go to Austin, Texas to support his title fight, I'm doing it as wifey. I will not be working. I can't do both. My brain literally cannot do both because I am either having a heart attack watching Ross do his thing, or I am fully engaged doing Fight Bananas stuff. So,
and Maddie, last question before Ross comes on, I guess, how does going through a training camp, and you guys can both talk on this in a weird way because you're both kind of in it right now. Like, so your significant other is in a life-changing training camp. Like Ross is fighting for a championship, another payday, big money, all that stuff, whatever. Dude, Grant is fighting, like he wins this, he's right back in that 12 to 14 range, another big fight in front of him, not American top team guy. There's 3 guys, we can all know their names. Grant will be fighting one of those 3 guys next. I would assume even on a pay-per-view, or a fight night main event. It's right there. It's a big fight. Like, how do you guys deal with the pressure of, hey, I got to be a good significant other, but also like once in a while, Ross or Grant, you got to do laundry or you got to do the dishes. Like, how do you guys?
I love this question. I love this question because it is an inner battle that I deal with on the daily. And we are 2 weeks out now.
That's
and
crazy. Wow.
So it's funny. So I'm trying to put it into words here because as a partner, right, you want to feel, one of my favorite quotes is that a relationship is not 50-50. It's 100-100. Like, you need to give everything to each other at all times. And that doesn't always mean that you're going to be able to give it all. That doesn't always mean your partner's going to be able to give it all. But in situations like this, his 100% looks a little different. So that doesn't mean that he's going to be, like on top of his laundry and on top of the dishes and on top. And I'm okay with that because I know that he's going for something that is so much bigger than us. Like he's going for a world title. He's, like I need to respect that his brain is a little more occupied than normal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And coming from like the fight culture and just like, our relationship was built on the fight life. I'm able to understand the sacrifices and I'm able to understand the mindset. And I'm sure Elle can speak on all of that, where it's just like, how occupying it is in your brain when you have a goal like that, and to have a constant in your life. I try to be his constant. I try to be the rock. I try to be the calm in the storm during the 4 to 6 weeks. Do I want him to pick up his fucking laundry? Absolutely. But it's okay. I will do it until June 1st. And then he can start doing it again. But yeah,
that was like one of the best answers ever in Fight Bananas history.
It's a tough thing, but as long as you communicate with each other and just give each other grace, I think that's super important. So
that's a good word. Grace is a good word, my dear friend.
Yeah. He walked in halfway through that answer and I got nervous.
What a good.
Come here. Come on over. You're up.
Guys.
What a show. This is the best show in the world. This is the best show in the world.
Guys, man. I do the dishes, okay? Cut it out. I do the dishes.
Dude, I was on your live. I was seeing you cook, man. I was loving that live. I was all into that.
That's true.
First of all, Turbo, Ross Levine, world champion karate combat. Thank you so much for coming to the show. I say this to Elle and Grant all the time. Ross, we say this. Dude, Maddie gives up so much of her time and effort for Fight Bananas, so we always want to say, I appreciate you, Ross. Thank you, Ross. And, it takes a village, right, to build this dynasty. So we appreciate it, brother.
Big time. Thank you. See ya.
Cool.
Get out of my office. It's my office now. I'm the captain of this ship.
Oh, my goodness. I love it.
What's up, fam?
What's up, dude? How are you, man?
Not much. I'm doing good.
It's close. It's closer than I thought. Like,
yeah,
it's one of those things. Maddie was with me in NEF, and we kind of were like, oh, we were talking about Austin and all this stuff. And it's like, you think it's out there. Then it's like, oh, yeah, May's flying by. It's at the May 30th, Austin, Texas, Karate Combat 46. You're going for, I love how you say it too, Ross. You don't say it's a title defense. You're winning your third championship. Is that how you say it?
Yes, sir. And three.
I love that. So it's getting close, my man. Where are you at right now? Physically, mentally, emotionally, all that good stuff.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, the body's great. As soon as I got done with my last fight, when I fought Sam Alvey out in Vegas, I was, immediately just getting myself back right, just building some strength and conditioning. I'm always doing stuff off camp. So it's not like I'm waiting to sign a contract and then it's like, all right, I gotta get ready. It's a fight camp. It's not fat camp. So, I always managed to keep my weight under control and in a good spot. It took years of therapy to work on stuff like that. But yeah, I feel fantastic. I'm rocking and rolling. I've been telling my coaches, like the way I'm performing in the gym has been better now in a long time at a heavier weight. So I put on a good amount of muscle in my last fight and I'm feeling really, really sharp.
I got so many. One real quick, because he mentioned the weight. I had like 9 things on it. That was one of the things I had a star on it. What's the difference, right? You had to bulk up. Sam Alvey's a big boy. I do have one Sam Alvey question. I'll ask that later. Sure. But your body physically, and to go up in that weight and try to do it correctly, and now to do this correctly, go back to maybe your more natural weight or your natural fighting weight. Was that any difficult, or you're above and beyond knowing what you're doing? We follow you on socials. We love what you do on socials about all of that. Was it an easier process than maybe what the casual thinks?
So it's funny, when we found out that we were going to be fighting Sam, a lot of the 205ers at Karate Combat are not what we would call like true 205ers. A lot of them are, 185ers that really don't want to cut, or maybe they're on the cusp and haven't quite come down yet. Now we're seeing this resurgence of real 205ers. So, initially when we knew we were going to go up to 205, that wasn't the first option. Like Sam Alvey wasn't my first option. They were talking about Machida, Rockhold, Darren Till, and all that fell through. So now we got Sam Alvey. So, those guys are all 85ers that now fight at 205, but I wouldn't even consider them true 205ers. So, we bulked up a little bit, but I was walking around like 218, 219, and I felt terrible. Like I felt so sluggish. I was heavy on, like I looked good, but performance in the gym, I was like, this isn't worth my time because no matter what I do, Sam's going to be bigger than me. So, it really doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is I have to be the best version of myself, which really lends me to getting back down to like walking around at like 205, 206. So that's what I did. After like a week or two of camp, I was like, screw this. I just need to be better, period. So that's what we did.
Yeah, I mean, on the same subject, like you were talking about, you always are doing something. You're always keeping your weight down. I've seen like you have a business as well. You do nutrition for fighters. What got you started in that? What's your background in that?
Yeah, so my business is Turbo Sports Performance. I actually don't do the nutrition side. I have my nutritionist, Trisha Cornell, Fuel Nutrition, who does some nutrition for fighters in our company. But I also hired another fighter actually on the Karate Combat roster. His name is Coach Zach Benbusta. He's up at TriStar in Montreal, and he's a nutritionist. So he does some nutrition work for us too. But yeah, I mean, I was a physical therapist. I've been doing PT now for over 10 years. And then started morphing into more of the strength and conditioning side. Even as a PT, I felt strength training was really the key to getting athletes healthy again, because let's face it, I mean, this, you're going through PT now for your ACL. There is nothing that resistance bands and 5-pound dumbbells and kettlebells are going to get you back to feeling like an athlete, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. So, I started leaning my treatment style more towards strength training and got crazy good results. So when I went out and did my own thing, that's kind of where my background married into my passion. And now I work exclusively with martial artists all over the world.
That's awesome, man.
That's so cool. All right, here's my one Sam Alvey question. And hey, Ross, it's just us, man. It's just us.
Yeah.
Just
not in the internet, no big deal.
Is there just one time you're like, God dang it, Sam, stop smiling. Like, I'm going to fight you. I want to hurt you. Because I know we talked a lot about this beforehand. You're like, I'm not going to let that deal. I'm not going to let that bother me. Was there ever one time the whole week seeing him? I guess he hurt his, like, oh, that's not like, was there just one time like, Sam, we're fighting. Like, I want to fight you. Stop this.
No, not really. I mean, that's just him. That's just him. Yeah. He's got to be him. And whether that's real or not, I believe wholeheartedly that that's real. We were hanging out in the hospital afterwards and we were both banged up and he was still smiling. I was like, all right, this guy is that's just him.
It's genuine.
It was just him. But no, it didn't bother me. I mean, because like that, everyone's got to do their own thing, right? I have to put myself in a certain place. Maybe that's his place that he puts himself in. It is what it is. But you got to realize, like, when we step into the pit, that smile goes away. So it's just one of those things where, it really doesn't bother me. Just like I hope the things that I do during fight week, everyone thinks I'm like pretty cold during fight week. It's not intentional. It's just where I got to be.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Are you surprised that Sam Alvey used to make middleweight? Because obviously he bounced back and forth in the UFC between 85 and 205, but he looks really big now. Like, did you get a chance to talk to him at all about that? Or like, did you just, your experience, are you surprised he was ever an 85er?
Not really. Nothing really surprises me anymore. Cause if you think like, when's the last time he fought at 185? It was several years ago. Right. Same thing. Like now you look at John Jones and the casuals that just came into the world of MMA are like, this guy was a 205er. What? Right. He's massive. But he took years to really develop himself. And so did Sam. So, it didn't surprise me. I will say that I didn't like height wise, he wasn't that big, but like even at the ceremonial weigh-ins that night. So like weigh-in, we both made weight. Ceremonial weigh-ins, I was like, all right, he's not that much more filled out. And then when we stepped in the pit, I was like, okay, we're gonna be here all night. So that's one of those things.
The last time he made 85 was August of 2022. So it's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
Wow. No, it's actually closer than I thought. I would have said 2019.
Yeah, I assumed it was long. He literally went back and forth. Like, because then right before that, he fought Brendan Allen at 205. And then right before that, he was back at 85. So he definitely played some weight class ping pong for sure.
Yeah, but he's been powerlifting and stuff. Like he posts all on his YouTube about like him just hitting PRs in his powerlifting. So he's taken the time and he's really developed a true 205 body.
Yeah.
All right, let's fast forward to a couple weeks from now, May 30th, Karate Combat 46, Austin, Texas, going for a third championship. Adrian
Hadrabia.
Okay. When you got this contract, because it seems like, if I could say, Ross, the last 3, 4, 5 kind of Karate Combats, they have been going for, the Showtime, the Henderson, looks like they're trying to get Till. Look, Darren Till's never going to fight again. Let's just be honest with all of ourselves, guys. Everyone wants him. He's never going to fight again. But they are going for the bigger names. Were you happy, just to get a fight and get a main event, kind of get this thing rolling again, back where you want? Or were you expecting one of those type of names? How was your feelings when you saw the contract for the first time?
Yeah, so it was one of those things where I actually asked, like, Adrian should be happy. I asked for this fight. He's only had one fight in Karate Combat, but he's the only, they built me up in middleweight really fast and never really developed a pipeline behind it, which is why it's been hard for me to be active, which is why I had to jump to 205 just to fight. So the middleweight division has been stagnant. And then it was like the person who was supposed to be next in line would get there and then lose. And then there'd be someone else that would be right there and then lose. So there just hasn't been this development of like a true contender in the middleweight division in a long time. So, they were supposed to have a 205er, a Moroccan kid who was supposed to come down to 85 and fight me. He had turned down a 205 fight with me like 2 times already. So then they couldn't get in touch with his coach. And it was like 10 weeks out. So I'm telling the matchmaker, like, yo, I'm not waiting for this dude anymore. Like, I need to be active. I want to fight. And, I just gave them a list. I was like, here's a list of people that I'd love to fight. This guy is the only person who's won a middleweight fight in the last year. I'll fight him for a title. And that's who they chose. And then I gave them another list of those who shall not be named.
And real quick, sorry to interrupt. With that being said, that's got to give you, to me, hearing this, Ross, for the first time, that's got to be pretty awesome that a company, a fight promotions like Ross, like, who are you fighting? You're the main event of this card. This card's built on you. You're kind of like, in a weird way, picking your opponent. That's got to make you feel pretty damn awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it would be much nicer if there were established rankings underneath me, but the company is still in its infancy, right? Karate Combat's only about 6 years old, if I'm not mistaken, and they went through a lot of different changes between pre-COVID kind of trials and then shifted gears 100% to like the HD backgrounds during COVID, private shows to live events again. And now a new presidency that's taking a whole new spin on things and like bringing MMA fighters and big names, changing the rule set. So it's still developing. I mean, the UFC didn't become the UFC until 15 years in. So, it's still growing and I'm happy to be a part of it. And I'm just trying to push it and push myself in the right direction and get what I need.
What do you need, Ross?
I need to be active, my friend. I need to fight. I got to fight. Twice a year is not enough for Ross Levine. Turbo,
journalism questions over here, Al. I'm asking Ross hard-hitting questions.
You got to remember, like, I grew up in sport karate, right? Like my sport karate career, I was fighting every couple weeks. And it was like multiple rounds against the best in the world. It's not like I'm just fighting chumps on the street corner. Like these are the highest level sport karate fighters in the world. Guys like Raymond Daniels, guys like Michael Venom Page, like that caliber every couple weeks consistently. So it's like when I'm fighting twice a year, I'm sitting here twiddling my thumbs. Like, what do I got to do to get a fight? And it's also like, I think the sport karate world is very much on like whoever the top guy is, that's who I got to beat. And that's who I want to fight. Like professional combat sports is not like that. They avoid the top. It's very strange.
Yeah. What did you notice with Glory when you were still in Glory? Did you get to be pretty active there? How often did you get to fight there? Is this like the first time you've been like just stuck?
Yeah. Glory. At the time, at the time that I was in Glory, they were really trying to build their North American roster. They had obviously Tiffany Van Soest was a champion in my weight class. They had several Americans. I think we had probably the most Americans in the top 10 in that weight class in the welterweight division, which again, scary to think I was a welterweight at one time fighting at 169. Like that's crazy. But
you gotta tell that story, by the way, Ross. That your welterweight story, the weight cutting story.
Yeah. They were all horrible.
yeah. Crazy.
But I mean, you had guys like myself, Richard Abraham, Troy Jones, Omari Boyd. Like there were so many Americans. And then, I mean, I made my debut, and I think my debut, I had that like crazy head kick knockout, one knockout of the year. And then they were like, ooh, let's push this guy. Right. So that was July 4th weekend, 2019. Then I fought again in September. And then they were asking me to fight in November, and I had to heal up an ankle injury. So I took that off. And then I was scheduled for March to fight my first international show, which was a huge compliment, being unranked, being American. Glory doesn't usually do that with Americans unless they think there's something big there. And I was scheduled to fight Amari Diedrich on I think it was like March 26th or something, 2020. And then like 2 weeks before, that was the first canceled show that they had because of COVID. And then they rebranded everything and it was shut down. So Glory was keeping me super active. But again, I was climbing the ranks, and they had a litany of people above and below me that were ready to fight.
Yeah, I think that a lot of organizations run into that when they add new divisions, or in your case, are inventing an entire new sport where there's just not enough meat in the divisions to keep everybody active, or they end up bringing in these fighters that aren't karate combat fighters to fill the cards. What are your thoughts on that? Do you like it since it adds people to your roster, or would you rather see more sport karate guys coming through?
I mean, of course, I'd love to see more sport karate guys coming through. I think the whole premise of karate combat was to create an avenue for people that didn't necessarily want to go boxing, kickboxing, MMA. But now you have this avenue to say, okay, well, I'm karate based. I know how to move. I know how to hit and not get hit. Let me challenge myself and see if I can knock people out full contact. I mean, it all really started in the Olympics a couple of years ago in the gold medal match. One fighter knocked out the other fighter, and the guy who got knocked out won the gold medal because the other guy got disqualified. And it's like, that makes zero sense at the Olympic level, right? It's crazy. So it was like the perfect segue to be like, here's karate combat. You have these guys that obviously know how to deliver these kill shots. Let's put them in, a sport where they can, move to the next level and get paid as professionals. So I would love to see karate fighters come out and do more. But at the same time, to answer your question, I love that there's more people coming in because it validates what I do. It validates and says like, okay, I can compete with the best in the world in any style and make it happen, because at the end of the day, it's about the rule set.
Right. Ross, two more things for you, man. I appreciate your time. Like I said, we're around 2.5 weeks out. Austin, Texas, Karate Combat 46. My first one, I feel like you mentioned it kind of through passing a couple times. Who knows how many more championship fights are on the horizon for Ross Levine? Hey, God willing, or if you're Ross willing, maybe 10 more, who knows? But do you like, if I say to you, you're a pioneer of karate combat, if karate combat 10 years from now keeps on maybe the direction they're on and they do turn into a UFC, and we're like, man, like we're all talking, we're at the bar, we're like, dude, Ross Levine is a Randy Couture type, a Chuck Liddell type, Bass Rutten type. Does that give you those good feelings, those butterflies in your body? You're like, hell yeah, like I am one of the pioneers, one of the cornerstones of this kind of first generation of karate combat.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that the media is to talk about, right? Like when I started doing professional combat sports, I never set out and been like, I want to be a Hall of Famer, or I want to be a name that people talk about. It was just like challenge myself, compete against the best in the world in whatever discipline it is, and see where I am, like kind of see where I stack up. It's always been self-driven. So yeah, when I hear someone like you who's been around the sports for so long say something like that, it does make me feel good. But my story is not finished being written. So, when my chapter is done, we'll have things to talk about. And, I hope that other people in the industry kind of see me and be like, damn, that dude was legit.
Well, you are definitely legit, my man. I'm going to say that right off the rip. Last thing for you I have, and if Elle has anything else, like you said, but last thing on this side, we've broken bread together in the house together. We've drove, up and down the highways together. Like, I feel you are a phenomenal communicator. I can't, how much I think of your lovely wife, Maddie. Maddie is one of the best in the world at what she does. Do you think, or would you like to be once in a while on this side of it? Talking shop, podcasting, media type in the future, 4 years from now, like, hey, Karate Combat keeps blowing up. Charles Barkley's on the TNT talking about the NBA, and Troy Aikman is, calling shots for the NFL. Do you think you would love to maybe do that 4 or 5 years from now?
Absolutely. I mean, I would do it now, but I don't believe in active fighters being analysts. I don't like that. I really don't like it.
Anthony Smith, he's the best.
The best.
He's
the best. I mean, but like, that's the stuff where I'm like, it's not my role right now, but I love watching and studying. My wife hates watching fights with me because I'm seeing stuff before it's happening, just in like body movement. And it's just, I'm a student of the game. So I love this stuff. I love being around it. It's what I eat, sleep, and breathe, just like Maddie does. But right now I'm focused on being in it. When I'm done, I would love to be with Fight Bananas and blow that stuff up and maybe do some commentary. If Karate Combat has openings for me to do commentary, they have these guest instructors from other practices, but when I'm all said and done, why not have the guy who was the champ for so long be a commentator? So that's something I would love to do. And I'll always be involved in the sport in some way. So absolutely.
I love that. That's a great answer. I'm telling you, one of the best in the business, inside the pit, outside the pit, and not even that, just a awesome dude. I'm talking about Ross Levine. Ross, man, I appreciate your time, dude. You're the best.
Appreciate you guys.
I have one last question for you, Ross.
Yes, ma'am.
May 30th, are you guys going to stick around in Austin and vacation, or are you going to hop on a plane and get back to the Northeast so you can be at the Prudential Center to see me and Grant on June 1st?
I know. I really wanted to get back. We already booked an Airbnb, but I'll definitely be watching. So I have a lot of history in Austin. I've fought many sport karate tournaments in Austin. I got a lot of friends down there. Done a lot of winning down there. We're going to make sure we do it again. Definitely looking to put the Eagle out. We're going to knock this dude out and then celebrate a little bit, hang out, check out Austin. Maddie's never been.
No.
So we'll do that. But yeah, we're going to be cheering and watching for sure.
Absolutely, man. Heck
That's
yeah.
the best, dude.
Well, we'll miss you at the event, but good luck.
The Levines are the best.
Thank you. So I got to leave now.
You can stay if you want. You can stay. I'm on for another few minutes.
All right. Thank you guys for everything. Appreciate y'all.
Appreciate you. Ross Levine, Karate Combat Champion. Make sure you check it out. UFC Fight Pass on their YouTube channel, May 30th, Karate Combat 46, Austin, Texas. The main event. Come on, let's go. Dude, I know Maddie's going to agree with me. He's the best. He's awesome.
He is.
When he was down here in Florida, is so cool. I was so happy because remember he was maybe not going to come, and then I was so happy he came. We had the best time just setting it up. So
he's an incredible fighter, but he was born to be an analyst of some kind. Like, he is that fighter where you're like, I can't fucking watch fights with you, dude, because he's like, it's just so like he's calling strikes and movements before they even happen. I'm like, how are you doing that? Like, I understand like setups and stuff, but like, he'd be like, watch, he's gonna throw a sidekick and boom, or like, it's just, oh my god, it's crazy.
Maddie, before you leave too, I'm going to take a quick break. This coffee was a lot too much. I'll be back in 45 seconds. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah. Coffee as well.
This is good. So Elle, I do have a question though. Have you heard of Flat Stanley?
Oh, of course.
You have.
Good. It was like the coolest thing ever when I was a kid.
Okay. Please.
We used to make like our like we would have like a class.
Yeah.
Flat Stanley that we would all make together, and like kids would like take it home for the weekend and stuff.
Okay. Good. For those watching on YouTube or Facebook, I need to know if you know who Flat Stanley is, first of all, and where you brought Flat Stanley. Our nephew sent in Flat Stanley.
No, that's awesome.
We got Flat Stanley in the mail yesterday, and Uncle Ross was told that he has to take Flat Stanley everywhere. So Flat Stanley learned how to kickbox last night. Did fantastic. He came to the
in the picture.
Isn't it? I know he's kind of kicking, right? He came to the radio station this morning, and now he's on the Fight Bananas podcast. So Flat Stanley's killing it.
Let's go. Flat Stanley's going everywhere.
I know. I just think it's like the cutest thing ever because
it's so cute. I love doing that.
That's what I'm saying. Like the mail is usually random coupons and bills at this point, and to get Flat Stanley in the mail, I was like, let's go. I'm curious, Dave. Do you know who Flat Stanley is?
Yeah, that's Doja Cat's brother.
You're an idiot.
How do you not? You have kids. How do you not know what Flat Stanley is? Do you never read your kids that book?
No. We don't read at the Van Office.
What a terrible father. No,
it's about a kid that's flat, so they can mail him places, so he gets to travel all over. And so, like, classes will
he goes on adventures around the world. My nephew, who lives in Long Island, sent us this, and now Flat Stanley is on the Fight Bananas podcast.
There you go.
So everyone say hi.
Shout out to you, Flat Stanley. Dude, we do the Bad Guys books. My boys are dope. You know that. My boys are totally into Marvel. So any kind of Spider-Man or Captain America they can kind of get their hands on. That's kind of what we do.
Yeah. Well, I just needed to do that. That was a perfect little segue into Flat Stanley. Elle, I'm glad we're on the same wavelength here.
I got you.
Jeez, Louise.
To know Flat
Did you see
Stanley.
Doja Cat on Jimmy Fallon's show, by the way, guys?
I did. She crushed it.
I did not see.
I watched it because of you two guys. I was like, oh, they're going to test me. So
I barely know who Doja Cat is.
I know.
So
Did you guys watch the Met Gala last night?
And I know she's kind of weird, but that's about the extent of my Doja Cat knowledge.
She was wearing a dress that didn't have a back. What was that about?
Last night at the Met Gala where she wore a wet towel as a dress?
Oh, no. I'm talking about the Jimmy Fallon
No, but
thing.
like, Elle, I'm dead serious. It was a wet towel. I'm not even like being a jerk. It was genuinely a towel that was wet. And then she wore it.
Can we just talk about Taylor Swift then? Can we talk about a real national treasure like in Taylor Swift?
I'm going to take a shower.
But yeah, the Met Gala was kind of wild last night.
Let's talk about combat sports because I don't know anything.
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't know.
UFC St. Louis is coming up. I love this card. Love it.
Yeah.
It's so deep. Like maybe the main event's not the greatest. It is what it is. I'm actually.
You're talking about this weekend, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, go for it. Sorry. I was just.
Oh, no worries. I just like it's fun. I like the prelims maybe more than the main card. Like it's a very, very deep card.
I'm on that wavelength. We see Chase Hooper returning. Tabitha Ritchie and Tisha Pennington will potentially be a good fight.
Wait. Elle is into something.
Why are they matching Chase Hooper up with Slava Claus? Why are they doing that to him?
Wait, why is this bad?
It's a really tough fight.
Yeah.
That's Slava Claus is awesome.
He has so
do you
much
think
power.
they're doing it to see if Chase is the real deal?
I mean, we've already seen that Chase got into the UFC too early, in my opinion.
Really?
So I feel like the correct option for Chase Hooper is to baby him until he becomes a grown man. Like,
yeah.
Like I don't like this fight for him. And Chase Hooper's so freaking tough too.
I know.
Like, he doesn't quit, so he just takes like these ridiculous ass whoopings. And sometimes he gets a sub. Sometimes he just takes a ridiculous ass whooping, It's like seeing somebody his age and with his talent level take as much damage as he has. I don't like this fight for him. It makes me sad.
Well, selfishly, I want all of you guys to watch the Billy Goff fight very closely. He's a New England guy. Yep. He's just like one of those guys that is so easy to root for. He's just like so charismatic, so weird but funny, and just a good egg. So he's 5'10". He's a small 170. He's 5'10". His opponent's 6'4". I'm like, okay, this is gonna be intense. But I just send good juju to a fellow New Englander. I believe it's fight number 2 for him for the UFC. So
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're sending good juju that way.
Yeah.
Talking about sending good juju to this person every time she comes on a Fight Bananas. And when she's even not, it's probably like a Wednesday afternoon. She's like, wait, what's all this good juju coming? I'm just eating lunch. That's from Fight Bananas. That's from us. We sent to her all the time on a normal day. Talking about the one and only UFC record holder, Gillian the Savage Robertson.
I knew I was feeling something.
Yeah.
Must have been that good juju.
Pushing it out into the universe towards Miami.
Towards Miami.
Okay, so speaking of Miami and like how gorgeous it probably is in Florida, y'all, it is 75 degrees in Rhode Island. So I'm gonna go enjoy the sunshine for a hot second because it's gonna be 55 degrees tomorrow. So
maybe you could be here with us enjoying 80-degree weather year round.
Listen, I'm fucking up. I know I am, but it is 75 and sunny. I'm gonna go outside. I'm gonna be outside. Gillian, I'm so good to see you.
Depression.
Yes, I'm gonna go cure my seasonal depression in about 20 minutes with just some vitamin D. So I'll see you guys soon.
Later, Maddie.
Bye.
Great hair day, by the way. Great hair day by Maddie. There you go. She killed it. Gillian Robertson, you look amazing. You look awesome. I'm just throwing that out the back. I feel like you're getting some of that sun too. You're getting that mojo. You look amazing, G.
I appreciate it. I'm feeling exhausted. I feel like the next 8 weeks, this is about the same page we're gonna be on. You know, every time you guys gonna be like, "How you doing today?" I'm just tired. Every single day. I'm gonna post a video later today about like what my typical day consists of in a fight camp. But I'm like, that's just it's a lot.
I feel you. I had like 4 things for you quick, and we will get into them in a second. But this is a great question. I love talking to people that's in the chat and asking questions. Mustafa goes, what is your expectations for Piera Jones fight if it happens? I'll let you two guys go first. I got my own, but
that's a fight I was wishing was happening. Like I was hearing like rumors and wishing it was happening for UFC 300. Yeah. Whenever that was around. But I think that's a very interesting fight. I think it's a fight where Pereira always has a puncher's chance, but I don't think anybody is really in the same mental headspace as John Jones. He's just his fight IQ inside the cage. His fight IQ is so smart outside the cage. His IQ isn't necessarily always the greatest.
Life IQ.
That's so funny. But IQ,
fight IQ is absolutely next level. The way he can watch people break down fights, and like you saw what he did with Cyril Gane. That's a world champion he just dismantled in like, what was it, 1 or 2 minutes? Just and absolutely just like it was just so effortlessly for him. So I just think it's hard to really compete with John Jones, but Pereira has a puncher's chance.
My question for you, G, is do you think Jones is trying to avoid Tom Aspinall with this string of tweets pushing for the Alex Pereira fight? Do you think he really believes it's a bigger fight, or he wants the easier matchup?
I really do. I honestly think it is the bigger fight, and John is always the one. I feel like he's typically, especially recently, going for fights that he wants more than like fights that make sense necessarily. He's going for the bigger fights, going for I don't know, the bigger names, and I think really Pereira is the biggest fight to make right now. I think it is bigger than Aspinall.
I'll triple down on that. I think I know we would be so pumped when we see the Max Holloway versus Ilia Topuria fight. I know we are so pumped for Dustin's championship fight. Alex Pieda versus John Jones in 2024 is the biggest fight the UFC can make. Like, Alex just main evented UFC 300, got a knockout, got like a meme to it. Like, they're like Alex Pieda can main event any card on this planet. And then you can argue that John Jones is the like biggest, best fighter. I need like the lineage behind him. I know he's not pound for pound number one, so say, but like his resume is the greatest probably ever in the UFC history. So like just to match them two, Alex is a 2-weight class champion. He will try to become a 3-weight class champion. There's no bigger fight. Like that fight is insane. And I think, G, where you're going with it, I totally agree. Of course, Alex can knock him out in 40 seconds, but I think John Jones will somehow undercut that one check, and he puts Pieda on his back and he doesn't get up. Like, I think it's like, I know it sounds horrible to say. I think it's a horrible matchup for Pieda, like horrible, like probably the worst matchup he can get in the UFC in 2024.
I mean, I would go as far to say John Jones is a pretty horrible matchup for most people.
Of course,
like she was saying, like he's the GOAT, like he's the best to ever do it, whether we like who he is outside the cage or not. Like he is so elite in the cage. And I agree with everything you said about his fight IQ. My thing with John Jones is the way he solidifies rounds. Like something, if you watched every single John Jones fight, if there's a close-ish round, John Jones does something huge in the last 30 seconds of every round to solidify it. Like he's smart with it in the cage.
And I totally agree with what you said, but I will like disagree with one thing. Like John Jones versus Ankalaev to me is a harder matchup for Jones than Pieta. And then of course, John Jones versus Tom Aspinall is probably the worst matchup because it's someone as big as him. I think can strike with John as well. And then of course can be there in the wrestle and grappling scenarios. So I do think anyone versus John Jones, you can argue he's the best ever. So it's a hard matchup, but like Pieta is a good night, I think, for John Jones. A good night.
I would tend to agree. I think Ankalaev, he's a little bit more well-rounded. He has the offensive wrestling. He has the defensive wrestling. I would tend to agree.
Before we get into UFC St. Louis, where two fighters that you have cage time with is fighting on the card. So we'll definitely ask you about that for sure. Oh, three? Who's the third?
Veronica Hardy, JJ Aldrich, and Tabitha Ritchie.
I forgot about Hardy.
And then I have mat time with Tisha Torres. Lots of that. So
you're the expert on this card. We need to have Gigi betting bananas tomorrow.
Hey. There we go. I like it. Before we get into that, did you watch UFC 301? Did you stay up late enough to watch the fights live, or did you catch it the next morning?
What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, the next morning.
Take a good guess here.
Next morning.
I watched them the next morning. I actually stayed up until the co-main event. I fell asleep right before the co-main event. Yeah, so I did good that night.
There we go.
I feel like both the girls' fights lived up to the expectation. Both super exciting fights. That a girl, Ernesta Karatkate, I nailed it right there. She lost to first round she lost. Second round was a very close round. Honestly, could have scored it either way. Third round she came back fighting. I'm like, I just loved her spirit. Absolutely love her as a fighter. I'm just a huge fan. And then the same with Lucindo and Kovalevich. I'm a huge fan of Lucindo as well. She's a little dog. She just comes out there swinging.
She's hella tough.
Oh yeah.
We talked about before you got on. The world was shitted on this pay-per-view. Dude, UFC 300 is the greatest fight night of all time. This is 301. Your main event had Steve Ercik in it. Like, it was just like, whoa. Your co-main event had Jonathan Martinez in it. It was a tough sell. But I thought the fights were incredible. Like, the prelims were awesome. We talked about Mauricio Rufy 9 times already. We loved how good that kid looked. And then Jose Aldo returned from all that time to win. I thought the main event was a great, great fight. I thought literally 6 hours of great fights. I loved that card.
Oh yeah, Mauricio Rufy is the one to talk about there. I'm like, just put on such a performance. Really showed what he's capable of, and I love that whole the Fighting Nerds team. Honestly, I feel like they just have they live up to that name. They have a very smart approach to their games, and you can see it in their fight styles. And I really like their team and what I've seen out of it.
I had a super hot take. No, you go.
I think that's where Moises has been training when he goes back to Brazil as well.
Oh, Thiago?
I'm not positive, but I am like 89% sure that's where he goes when he goes home. But I could
89% on the internet. That's a fact.
Don't quote me on that. That's how rumors get started, guys.
Co-captain of the Fighting Nerds. Real quick, I had a hot take earlier, G. They were talking, Maddie and Elle were like, hey, what's next for Jose? He can fight this guy. He can fight this guy. My hot take is that Jose Aldo never fights for the UFC again. I think he will get paid handsomely outside the UFC. There's no more fights on the contract. I was so happy that he won, but my hot take is that I think another promotion, PFL, bare knuckle, game bred boxing, so many will overpay for Jose Aldo's services. Am I way off? Do you agree? Do you not agree? Where are you at on Jose Aldo?
I know that he's asking for that title shot, and I feel like that'd be the only way to keep him in the UFC, honestly, is if they do give him that kind of opportunity. Because at the end of the day, it's like, that's what everybody wants, is that belt, you know? So I feel like with such a huge opportunity like that, I think he would stay. But otherwise, I agree with you. I don't see a why for him to stay if he's not getting the shots that he wants.
Right.
I just heard that Gillian agreed with me. We're moving on to the next topic. There we go. This is a funny one.
Yes.
Islam,
it's the curse.
Yeah. I'll talk about it. So break it down.
I didn't mean to cut you off. No. So every time Paulo Costa is on a pay-per-view, the belt changes hands to the dog. Every single time. So I am, of course, being as biased as I am at ATT, being friends with Dustin, of course I am praying that the Paulo Costa curse continues, because how freaking awesome would that be?
Dude, I don't know if you saw any of it last week with having Dustin on. It was awesome. And not even that, like, it was really cool. The interview was everywhere. So many other outlets picked it up and talked about it. It was awesome for us here at Fight Bananas. Where are you at on Dustin Poirier fighting for the world championship in 2024?
Oh my gosh. Honestly, this is something I'm like torn on. It's like, I feel like, I don't know why Islam has this thing about him, but every fight he's like the villain. I feel like nobody's ever rooting for Islam. Like, he's so good, obviously, but everybody's always like, let's go Oliveira, let's go Poirier, let's go whoever. And I feel like it's kind of the same situation. I want to see Poirier win. I feel like he deserves it. You know, he's a dog in this game. He deserves that opportunity, that shot. But I'm like, Islam just proves it again and again. I feel like how good he is. And just with his wrestling capabilities as well, I definitely think it's a tough fight for Dustin.
Yeah, I will say this is the first time I was rooting against Islam, but I'm a big Islam fan. I love his style.
You're rooting for Islam against Volkanovski too?
I'm like, Islam's just fighting all the like people's champs. He's fighting Volkanovski. He's fighting Oliveira.
Doug's right on the money right there. Don't be silly. Drop the Gilly. Finish the story at UFC 302. Hey, Ariel Helwani, you're welcome for my line. Dude, like, Ariel stole it. Come on.
Call us out. Come on. Give Dave some credit, Ariel. We need the quote.
Yeah, we need the quote. All right, let's get into UFC St. Louis. Like I said, Jillian's like literally fought every girl or trained with every girl on this fight night card. There's also great fights and part of like Chase Hooper's on the card. I really like the co-main event. The co-main event's really got my eyes on it. But G, we got you on the show. We would love your take and your points on JJ Aldrich versus Veronica Hardy, and then Baby Shark versus Tisha Pennington, aka Tisha Torres. So take it away.
So first off, the Veronica Hardy and JJ Aldrich, I think this one, there's a huge thing that comes into fight IQ here. I think the Veronica she's a better fighter than what she puts off. She typically makes a lot of just poor fight IQ mistakes, but she's like a very athletic girl, very explosive, got crazy like karate kind of kicks, and especially on the ground. She's the only girl, I think, that to my record, I just remember that whenever she swept me, she was the first person who ever swept me. And I was like, this bitch, like she was just so explosive. Her legs just able to explode off them so much. And I feel like I said, it just comes down to fight IQ for her though. She's such a talented girl, but I think she just makes a lot of poor decisions, where JJ is just kind of more basic, but is smart. JJ knows how to fight smart. She knows how to keep people out at her boxing range, take shots when she needs to. She knows how to win, and JJ's just able to fight smart, and I feel like that's what's going to make her win this fight.
Question on that same area. Like, obviously Veronica was a huge underdog against Jamie Lynn Horth, who's this big prospect coming into the UFC. And I do feel like she fought her very intelligently. Do you feel like she's improved in that area, or do you think the level between Horth and Aldrich is going to be very different?
I think the level is going to be different, and it's just it's like that's where Aldrich shines almost, is just making good, smart decisions to win 100%. The fight, you know? So I think that JJ's just going to be able to get away with a decision.
We've seen JJ do really, like, she was doing really well with Erin Blanchfield until she wasn't, you know? Like, I agree with you. She's got a really difficult style, I think, to fight. Like, it's really hard to get in on the legs. It's hard to like implement your game plan with her.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I hate to be so naive here. Like, is it because JJ's a southpaw? Am I right? Like JJ's a southpaw, and like sometimes you guys could talk about this way more than I know American Top Team, there's a hub of females, but like at the GOAT, we say this all the time to you, G, like you sometimes train with a lot of flyweight males and maybe 2 or 3 girls down there, right? Like there's not a ton of girls in some of these gyms, and then JJ's a southpaw. So it's like, how many times do you get to train against a female southpaw, especially in the same weight? Maybe they're a featherweight or maybe they're a Tama weight. You know what I mean? Like it's pretty wild to a 115 southpaw. There's not a lot.
Yeah, just in general, a southpaw.
What?
What'd you call my weight class? A Tama weight? I'm sorry, Dave.
I didn't want to call that out.
Thank you, G. G's a true friend.
It's like a Tama weight. That's what I'm going to call it from now on. Carry on, G. Carry on.
I feel like just the southpaw look in general, boys or girls, it's hard to find. You don't really see a lot of southpaws in a gym in general. And for some reason, the 125 division is filled with them. Like, Veronica Hardy may be a southpaw too. I'm not 100% sure on that. She may be, because I'm like, I just know I fought southpaw after southpaw after southpaw when I was in the 125 division. It was like every fight I had a southpaw. I know Macy Barber was. I know JJ Aldrich was.
Yep. Veronica's a southpaw too.
Veronica's a southpaw. Yeah.
Oh,
So, and even for southpaws, I feel like it's difficult going against a southpaw because they're so used to going with orthodox people.
100%.
But I'm like, I don't know what it is about the 125 division, but I just know that I've had a bunch of fights with southpaws whenever I was a 25er.
Well, and I feel like even if you have a southpaw in your gym, they may not emulate the style you need. Like maybe you're fighting a southpaw striker and you have a really good southpaw wrestler, and like it never quite adds up.
For sure. For sure. The next one on the card, to me, it's a very high level fight. Both these girls are in that anywhere between 9 and 17 anytime. And it seems like it's wild. Steve Ursay got a title shot at being number 10 and having one flashy knockout. It's, anything is possible now. Baby Shark, Tabitha Ritchie versus, it's so wild. I call her, she's Tisha Torres to me. She will always be Tisha Torres. I know she's Tisha Pennington now, illegally and all that. To me, she's Tisha Torres. It's a different kind of fight. I'm actually really intrigued to see this kind of come out. I think I'm leaning Tisha Torres, to be really honest. But how about you guys?
It's definitely always interesting to see girls come back after giving birth. It's just such a huge thing. Like, I don't know. Obviously, I know nothing about it, but I can only imagine taking like a year off, giving birth, what it takes, like everything. And some girls, it's like Mackenzie Dern came back friggin' on a run, she got that mom strength with her now. So I feel like, I don't know, you get a different person after that. So it'll be interesting to see the Tisha Torres that we do get. But I think both these girls, they know how to draw girls into their style and win a decision. So Tisha knows how to keep it striking, and Tabitha's usually good at landing her takedowns and getting the decision out. But I think that Tisha would be able to keep it on the feet with her. I think this fight goes in Tisha's decision, honestly.
Me too. I'm really spot on that. One thing was so funny when I saw Tisha was on this card, and like I said, I don't know, maybe for me being an outsider, and like we've talked about it probably multiple times during this show, G, about it was 3 years ago or 4 years ago during the COVID era. She already knows exactly where I'm going. All you girls were on one card. You had a big pizza. You took an awesome picture yourself. I believe Hannah Goldie was there, and Tisha,
yes.
Lauren Murphy was there. Like, it's kind of like one of these cool, iconic pictures of you guys. Like, in a weird way, do you know in the moment, you're like, dude, this is pretty awesome. Like, this is a great night, a special night, a picture that you kind of will have for the rest of your life? Or is it another fight night in the Apex, another Saturday? I'm already getting back to camp on Tuesday. Life happens quick. Is it hard to notice, like, dude, that was a cool moment? Like, is it hard to know that when you're in them?
I don't know. I guess that moment for me, it was just friends kind of, So it wasn't like thinking of it as like, oh, this is something cool. It was just Tisha, honestly, I was probably 18, 19 years old when I was brought down to work with her at ATT for the first time. So I'm like, I've been working or like been on the mats with Tisha over the last 10 years, And so it was just seeing her as a friend. Lauren Murphy was in the Tough House with me. Hannah Goldie, my best friend. And we didn't know how large a 30-inch pizza was, which is apparently huge.
Yeah.
That's a massive pizza.
Oh, yeah.
Where were you?
This iconic picture.
We were in Vegas.
Yeah,
And
we'll send it to you.
me and Hannah ordered it on Uber Eats. And the Uber Eats driver called us. He was like, can you guys come out and get this? And Hannah's like, yeah, I'll be right out. He's like, you're going to need like 2 people. We're like, what the fuck? We got there. It's like literally taking up the whole back seat of his car. It's huge. We ate like a little bit of it. And then we just left it to the rest of the girls. We're like, you guys can have this if you want.
I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah, exactly. It's way too much. Just, that Vegas weed, got a little bit of that in us, and then just ordered that pizza, and it was just too much.
This, guys, for reference, this is like a 12-inch binder.
Yeah,
like
it's an iconic picture.
I'm telling you, it was huge.
One more thing, and then something funny very towards the end, and we'll let you run, G. You mentioned earlier, literally the first or second thing coming on the show, you mentioned, hey, I got something else for social media, normal day in fight camp. Is social media kind of during fight weeks, it's harder, you're more tired, all this stuff? Is it for you, a little bit of a getaway? Let me kind of like get out of fight camp. Let me do a little social media. Or does it become a tad more of a chore, like something I got to do, keep on and keep it going? Because, social media going into a fight week and all that stuff is pretty important. Is social media positive or a negative in these last kind of 5-6 weeks to a fight?
So I feel like I've changed on this as I've gotten older.
Okay.
When I was younger, and I had looked back at my Instagram then too, and I was like, I was so good at it. What happened? I'm like, I posted all the time. I had great captions. I'm like, I was just so consistent with it, and every day, maybe twice a day, posting, just keeping up on it. And like, that's what gets you sponsors in this game and things like that. So it's like, I was always really good at that. And then the last couple of years, I've just like gotten so lazy with it, and I just don't want to do it. And like, last month, it was my goal where I'm like, I'm going to get good at social media again. And I think there's 2 or 3 weeks where I was posting pretty consistently, and then I just fell off again. And now I'm trying to get back again. And it's like, it's just a constant struggle for me to try to post consistently now. But it's like, It is so important, that fan engagement, and it is so important to get sponsors and things like that. So it's like, it's a struggle. I'm just trying to make it work. I'm like, I try to post as often as I can, but I'll post like consistently for a week, then forget about it for 2 weeks completely.
No, I get it. It's and then you guys know how much course, time, and effort we have to put in Fight Bananas in it. So it's like, holy crap. Sometimes I do it for Fight Bananas for like a day or day and a half straight. I'm like, oh, I haven't even done my own. Like I was just in Clearwater, Florida. I saw these awesome palm trees. Let me make that post real quick. So it's pretty wild. Last thing for you, we'll let you run. I'm pretty sure, I hope I don't butcher this. I hope I'm getting this right, G. It's in my calendar for some reason. Are we 10 days away from something a little special for Gillian Robertson?
She's like, what?
We might be.
All right, good. I didn't butcher it. I'm like,
I don't know what's today's date, but we might be.
Okay, so there we
go. 17th.
All right. We got a birthday coming up on the Fight Bananas family side. Hopefully we'll see you next Tuesday. Will be a birthday show for G. If not, happy birthday, G. You're the best. 1 year wiser, 1 year smarter. Not even close to my age. So we'll
1 year closer to 30.
How are you going to celebrate the in fight camp birthday?
We're waiting till post fight camp. In fight camp, we don't do anything.
Right. We're not even celebrating my birthday in Grant's fight camp because I'm in May too, and the 24th. I'm like a week after you. So.
Happy almost birthday too, then.
Birthday to you. Yeah, we're gonna do mine after Grant's fight too. It's just not gonna happen.
Sean's got a good question for you, G. Gillian, when are you gonna come out with your own cannabis line?
That's the real goal, honestly. I'm like, I'm already thinking about it. I just need to wait till the opportunity comes.
Self-promotion, sponsors, diet, training, self-care, making weight. Fighters are a different animal. For sure, Doug, for sure. Well,
that's why she's savage.
About that. Yeah, that's the nickname is very fitting. G, you're the best. We appreciate you. Appreciate your time. I cannot wait. UFC St. Louis. hopefully, who you want to win in those 2 female fights happen for you. And we'll talk, if not next week, if not, happy almost birthday, Gillian Savage Robertson.
I'll see you guys next week.
Sounds good. Later, G.
Thanks,
You're the best. Wow, Sean's got a good one. Savage Smoke.
Savage Smoke. Sean's already branding it for you, G.
Sean, by the way, your Dustin Poirier hot sauce is en route to you. I sent it out today. Ooh. USPS. There you go. You're welcome. There we go. That's what we do here. The person who won the Dustin Poirier signed T-shirt is talking to us on IG, by the way. Just want to let you know that.
I will message you if you are watching and hand deliver your shirt to you, because
how cool is that? Dude, we
are
giving away a Dustin Poirier signed T-shirt. That's insane. That's like the best giveaway ever.
That's cool. It's so cool. We'll show it again. I already folded it up, but like let's look at it again. How cool.
Woo!
Boy. How cool is that?
The best.
I'm so pumped.
The best. I know we got Keelan. Good shit day. Oh, no. Sean, we appreciate you, dude. Sean, during the watch-alongs is
You're
incredible.
The best. Thank you for always staying tuned in.
We got Keelan coming on. We have Mystic Black coming on. And I think Elle, for the first time, like in 3-4 shows, Elle's going to take a little bit of a vacation towards the end of the episode. I love this.
I've been like, I keep drinking my water because I'm thirsty and I have to pee so bad. But I'm going to wait until Keelan gets on. So I'm not going to leave you by yourself. But I literally keep forgetting that I have to pee and I keep like drinking more water.
That was like my first pee break ever on the show's history. I was like, guys, this ice coffee.
Yeah, don't lie. It wasn't a number one. Don't lie. With the coffee and everything.
So I would never do that outside my home. So that's not happening. I'm sorry.
His kidneys and bladder are working overtime. You're right. I'm holding everything in.
I love it. Man, we're getting close. It's so funny to when you interview Ross Levine. It's like, yeah, May 20th. May 30th seemed so long ago at NEF. We're a couple weeks away. We're a couple weeks from Grant's really like the white shirt. Dude, that's the one I bought. There was like 8 of them on the website. I was like, I love that, especially for the signature. It's like awesome.
See the signature so well.
Yeah.
Look how clean that DP signature is. Boom. All right, I'm done. I'm putting it away.
Cannot believe we're giving it away. We might be the best outlet there is. Might be.
Obviously. Clearly.
We're gonna do more watch-alongs in the future. They've been so successful. My next thing, guys, I'm gonna ask this. I'll ask this to the public. Should we do a fight night watch-along? Like usually we do for the pay-per-views because you got to pay for it. I can't do it this week personally, but I would love to maybe do it for a regular fight night and see who kind of joins in. It's just been awesome. We've been having like good traction and people coming in, and I think it's something that's going to work.
We can't do a watch along for 302, so maybe we do a fight night next month instead.
Right. Maybe I don't know. I'm close about the watch along. I want to get there so bad myself. I want to, but if I can't, I think I'll definitely do a watch along, and I'll do it for Grant's fight on, So we'll see. And maybe we'll have the winner of a fight come on the show that watch along night.
Ooh.
No show can do that. So, all right, we got her first. For Elle, dude, you're absolutely the best. We'll talk to you soon. Tomorrow night, Ben and Bananas, cannot wait. And then Friday, maybe even another MMA roundup. We'll see if we get it going. See if the sun lets us talk MMA.
I might be able to work it into my schedule. All right. Awesome. Bye, guys.
Later, Elle Dawson. There we go. Elle Dawson is off. I'm not going to do this alone. We got 2 absolute studs coming in. First and foremost is in the green room already. This guy is an absolute stud. We haven't had him enough on the show. I think he's going to become more of a regular. We hope. We're talking about Darnell Mystic Black.
My man, finally, Mystic Black has come back to Fight Bananas podcast, baby. Woo. Dave, Darnell, I don't care if you like it. I don't care if you don't like it. You're going to respect it.
There we go. You're the final boss right now.
We're here,
the final boss. There we go. Oh, what great time. We're not going to do it alone. Someone who's been on the show multiple times. I think he's still kind of getting the green room ready. So we're just going to talk him up. We're just going to talk about how great of a boxing expert this guy is. We're going to talk about how good looking this man is. Oh, he might be ready. Let's see. Does he have the Bret Hart glasses? Is he becoming the execution of excellence? What is it?
Creep it on in.
Guys.
What a stud.
Guys, what's up?
What's up with you, man? You're like the schmo on the secret juice right now. I love it.
Dude, I wish, because it would explain a lot. Guys, Dave, you know I love you. Darnell, you know I'm a fan.
What's up,
guys?
baby?
It's brilliant to be here. How we doing?
Dude, we're doing good, man. We're doing good. It's so wild how much weeks of MMA just keeps on giving us content and debate and back and forth. And, UFC 301 to me over-delivered what I thought it was going to be. I'm really excited for this weekend, guys. I know maybe the main event's not going to grab you, but for, I think, us real, MMA guys that are super in it, the card is stacked. It's so deep. Terrence McKinney's and Chase Hooper's and Tisha Pennington, a lot of studs on this card, guys. And the co-main event's got my eyes on it. So, Mystic, let's start with that. Oh, UFC 3 St. Louis. Where are you at on it, my man? What's kind of attracting you?
Did you ask me that? Because I just had an
Yes,
Amber Alert, so I kind of missed the question. Can you say it one more time?
UFC St. Louis, what's grabbing your attention?
Oh, on the St. Louis card,
Sure.
definitely the Joaquin Buckley fight, because I feel like it's a little bit of a risky fight for him, as he just got that really high ranking for the first time ever being ranked in the welterweight division, and he's just taking on somebody who has how many fights in the UFC? Was it second or third fight? One
this
fight.
is his second. Yeah,
His second fight, and he's really, really good. So taking this fight on short notice, because this is kind of short notice, it's not a full six week kind of a camp, just because he wants to fight in his hometown. I feel like it's a little risky. I understand it. You want to do that, but the UFC is going to go back to St. Louis again. So I feel like that fight's going to be the one to watch, because there's going to be a lot of pressure on Buckley, and we're going to see how he's going to react in front of that.
That's why we call him Mystic Black. 100% spot on, 100% analyst, just on the money. Guys, he's got to deal with family and people want tickets and selling the card. I bet you the media week for him, because like I said, the main event, like Derek Lewis is a UFC star. Rodrigo is not a main event type of guy. So I feel like the media will be on Buckley all week long. I think it's a risky take. I really do. I like Boys Alpha to get the win, to be honest. I really do. Sorry. Keelan, co-main event, where you at?
Guys, firstly, this co-main event is brilliant. Really enjoy it. I'm here for it. I love Joaquin Buckley. The guy is always on a madness. He's always doing some inappropriate madness in social media. He's got the Detroit Dust dude with him. Joaquin Buckley's that guy, and I am a big fan. I think it's a really good fight. It's an interesting test. I see his opponent, Ruziboev, is an Uzbekistani, so interesting to see what he brings to the table on Saturday night from St. Louis, Missouri. But yeah, it's sure to be a really good fight. Joaquin Buckley's been doing some good things lately, and I'm excited to see if he can keep that momentum going. But Dave, there is not one but two more great fights on this card that you should be watching if you're not already. Firstly, the co-main event, the third fight on the main card, Alonzo Menefield, Carlos Ulberg. That is a mad thing of a fight. Shout out the light heavyweights. They've been cooking lately. They've been doing their thing. This is another great fight. Alonzo Menefield's been quietly going about his business, rising up the division, putting in some really good fights. Sean Sterling, Menefield, Ulberg should be very solid. Sean, I agree with you. There's a very good reason I'm spotlighting this fight, because it is sure to deliver. Not like the meal, because the meal's sometimes really bad, but it's sure to deliver is the point that I'm making. And then on the prelims, Charles Energy Johnson versus Jake Hadley. That's a really good fight. Charles might be called the Energy, but he's very much been an outer G as of lately, bringing the energy. And he's sure to do the same thing against Jake Hadley. Hadley's been on a bit of an up and down run lately. He struggled a little more than I thought he would in the UFC, but
Me too.
still a legit fighter. You actually pulled his card last week, if I remember correctly.
Wow, let's see.
I'm fairly certain you did.
Good memory.
Dude.
Look
at this. This is why we bring him back every week.
Hey.
Look at this. Look at these cards, boy. We popped them open. Look, I'm telling you, this is a gem right here. Look at GSP.
Woo.
Number 8 out of 25 right there.
Got to get that sign at Karate Combat.
Darnell, that's what I said.
Gotta get that sign.
The man is literally listening.
I'm always listening.
Dawson's on it too. Hooper versus Slavaclaus is going to be wild because it's such an extreme matchup mismatch. Slavaclaus on his feet should, pick point and just slice Chase Hooper apart. But if those guys go on the ground, Chase Hooper, I would assume, get his way, do something funky. How about a roaster? How about a KFC pop? He's going to do what he wants with them down there. So, but it's such a, whoever gets there where they need to get to will dominate that fight.
Yeah, it's such a great card, and I'm very, very, very happy that it's not in the Apex. Lord Jesus Christ, I am happy it's not in the Apex. Put out there, be with the people. The people deserve it. The people deserve more cards in between these cards that are great and that people will want to tune into. So, you jot your little things here and there, get some good finishes, get that going, and get more eyes on the smaller cards. So I'm very happy with this card.
1,000,000%. I was going to say, Keelan, real quick. There's so many great, and St. Louis is a big city. St. Louis is humongous. This is a great fight night, but there's so many, like, instead of going to Orlando, Florida, they can go to Tampa, Florida. Instead of going to, a big one in South Carolina, their capital, they can go to Charleston, South Carolina. There's so many great cities in America that they haven't hit to. I know they're like Texas, like you can go to 8 different cities in Texas. Like PFL goes to San Antonio all the time. I think the UFC could tear that place up. Remember they went to Austin 2-3 years ago. It was like the card of the year. It was incredible. And then God forbid, guys, if they go to France, like the WWE just did this past weekend, we could be eating all over the place. All right.
Yeet.
What you got for us, Keelan?
No, I was just going to say, Darnell, you brought up a very interesting topic there, even though I'm not sure if you meant to or not. If you did, it was genius, so I'm not going to put it past you. But you mentioned the UFC Apex, and the Apex should be the best part of the UFC calendar, and yet it's the worst. And this really annoys me sometimes. Because with the Apex, it's a dead atmosphere. You've got all these sort of rich white people buying tickets who really aren't fight fans and don't belong there. Let's be honest. Let's call it what it is. It's people trying to be cool, trying to take Instagram pictures, and they shouldn't be there because they don't enjoy the atmosphere. Solution, though, for the UFC, what you should do for Apex fight cards is either sell tickets really cheaply so the most passionate fans can get in there and watch, or raffle them for free to fans who've proven that they are the biggest fans of the sport. I want the Apex to be like Fight Club. I want it to be people filled to the rafters like Cage Warriors, banners draped down over the balcony. I want to see the most rabid fans at the Apex so that it's affordable and it's accessible and it's easy to get to. This is actually a big problem that you could simplify very easily. Sadly, the UFC won't do it because for whatever reason, they're insisting on selling tickets to said rich white people who don't really belong there. But if you fix it, you could make that so much better.
I like the point. I love the point, but they just got to get rid of the Apex. That would be, I love that, like Fight Club kind of feel, but too much liability. You bring those crazy kind of fans into that place, it's just going to be too much to have to like take care of, too much security, got to watch too many things. It's not a big place. It's very small. So I could see a fan jumping in there, somebody doing something stupid. If you've been to fights, the guys who are paying a little bit like less for it are the crazier ones up there getting in fights or whatever else is happening. So I can kind of understand why they try to keep that out of there. But Apex, Dana White's Contender Series, that's it. Nothing else. I don't even like NXT being there. I don't like that. We're going to lose.
I don't like NXT being there.
Absolutely not. No way. You see when NXT goes to different arenas, how it's crazy in there. Even in the performance studio, it's crazy in there. In the Apex, it's not going to have that same effect because it's way smaller. But I'm saying that before it happens. Let's see what happens. If it's good, I'll give it all the praise, but I'm not crazy about that.
Shout out Trick Williams, by the way. That entrance last week was absolutely just next level. So I love what Shawn Michaels and NXT are doing because they are putting out a ridiculously good product.
I love this is going to turn. I'm telling you, don't get me started. Mystic knows that. Don't get me started. I like And it's great, guys. Actually, Jonathan Ramakan kind of shouted me out. So shout out to Jonathan Ramakan. He does our post-fight shows here in Fight Bananas. It's been amazing, guys. Like my son, he kind of watched it a couple times with me. The Royal Rumble, we were lucky enough. It was in St. Pete this year. Around Christmas time, Santa Claus got us tickets. We were very, very lucky for that. So that was his first time ever going to a wrestling event. It was the Royal Rumble. It was 60,000 people. His favorite guy is Logan Paul. The main event, CM Punk, Cody Rhodes. He was hooked. He's been hooked ever since. We watched Cody finish the story at WrestleMania. So it's a great time, being WWE land, especially with having a boy kind of getting into it for the very first time. It's a magical time right now. But I'm going to try to steer us back into the UFC. Darnell, let's kind of talk about something we kind of were going through a little bit on the comments. Dude, I love your us at Fight Bananas. We're pro Gillian the Savage Robertson. We're pro Grant Dawson. We got Jorge Masvidal's back. We got pictures there. He signs my paychecks 4-6 times a year. We got our love too. I love how much you defend and support Joseph Benavidez. The interviews you guys done together. I know you and Megan Olivo's got a lot of love for each other too. So I respect that. I really, truly do. But UFC flyweights, not all time, not other organizations, just UFC flyweights. Where do you honestly, realistically, where does Joseph slide in your all-time tier?
So, as I was saying in the comments, just because somebody does not win a championship doesn't mean they're not one of the best fighters you ever watched. You're going to say Justin Poirier is not one of the best fighters we ever watched? He never won the big one. He won an interim title, but never won the big one. There's a lot of guys who have been in each division who have been amazing and never won the big one. And to me, Joseph is probably number 2 on that list for the greatest fighter of all time to never win a championship. And if we go back into the time period of when he was a flyweight, my God, the animals that he had to fight in that division compared to, not to say there's not great fighters right now, but the people that he lost to either became champions, had long reigns, and you can't really argue those points too much. He beat Henry Cejudo, even though people had a debatable whatever about that. Still beat him. Had a very close fight with Demetrius Johnson the first time they fought. Second time went a little differently, but in between those lines, Joseph Benavidez rarely ever lost, and there wasn't any questionable fights that he had compared to Pantoja's last performance against Steve Erceg. That was a not great championship performance. It was a little scary every single round. Just who won that? Who won that round? It was too many questions to be asked. And I don't feel like Pantoja has had yet a run to say that, oh, my God, this guy is up there. And not to say because he gets put lower on the card or whatever, he doesn't have finishes. He has a lot of finishes against a lot of these guys. But look at these guys' records after he beats them. That'll tell you a lot. And you can see that with Joseph Benavidez if you look back at his record, as if Deiveson Figueiredo didn't have one of the best flyweight runs. He's not having a great 135-pound run. He lost to guys that had amazing runs. So it's hard for me not to consider him. For me personally, Demetrius Johnson, Henry Cejudo, Joseph Benavidez.
Great points. I love that points. This is going to be a fun conversation for sure. Do you remember 5 years ago in the NBA when the Toronto Raptors got Kawhi Leonard, traded for him, and the Raptors went on a good run and they won the NBA Finals? Yeah. Right? No one says years later, if Kevin Durant doesn't tear his ACL and Klay Thompson get hurt, who knows if they would have won the finals. But they did win the finals. And there's got to be a certain time that's winning and losing sometimes needs to get loved. I know what you just said about Pantoja, and I do agree. It was a really good fight. I don't think it was a robbery. I thought it was a really good, close fight. I thought it was a close fight. I'll say that. But he did win. He won and defended his championship. And sometimes I think we as a society overlook a win. Even if it wasn't impressive, he didn't get a knockout. But Jose Aldo won against Jonathan Martinez. Maybe not the same, but you win and you keep the train going. And, he's beat Roy Vall. He's defeated Brandon Moreno 3 times. And maybe I'm too high on Moreno. Maybe that's a part of my pro Pantoja, because I have Morano really high up there as well, 3/4 of the greatest UFC flyweight ever. So I just think sooner or later the wins have to matter. They have to hold merit.
It's hard. It's hard with the Brandon Moreno one when you fought the same person like 4 times. It's kind of hard for me to put him up there. And then another thing with really close fights, we want to talk about greatest of all time. We're talking about guys who are finishing people a lot all the time. That's a big thing for me. Getting those finishes or a dominant performance. That it's kind of hard for me for Pantoja to fight the number 10 guy and kind of look like a little bit of a struggle bus there, which was a little bit bewildering to me because I thought he was going to go in there, dominate him, beat him pretty easy, and show him why he's the champion. But if I'm being honest, he didn't do that for me on Saturday.
Keelan, what you got in this conversation?
Yeah, it's a very interesting discussion, and to be honest, I dig where Darnell's coming from. I agree with it. The one thing, and Dave, I've said this before because we talk a lot about boxing as well. What I love about the UFC and MMA that I hate about boxing is that losses don't define you in MMA, whereas in boxing they do. You could have a fighter that's 30-0, 31-0. They lose one fight, and then they've got to start from scratch again. In MMA, you lose 1-2 fights, you get back on the horse again, and you try again, and you're never really out of range of a title shot if you deserve it. Whereas in boxing, that very much can be the case. So I agree, and I'm glad you brought up Joseph Benavidez as an example because I do think he's very disrespected, and I think perhaps with the new generation of fight fan, recency bias really does unfairly affect Joseph Benavidez. Because if you think about it, he fought Davison Figueiredo twice, I think he did, didn't he?
Yeah, twice. Yep, back to back.
So you fought Davison Figueiredo, who's a natural, you could argue he's a natural featherweight, and he managed to get down to 125. A guy who hits like a featherweight. He stood up to that battle twice. Yeah, he lost twice, but so what? He tested himself against the best that was there at the time. And that's all you can ever ask for. I've never believed in sort of holding recency bias or taking challenges against fighters, because if you do, then you ask for this kind of situation that you find yourself in. And I think Joe Benavidez, if you're talking about the best flyweight fighters of all time, he might not necessarily be number 2, but he's certainly 3 or 4. He is in that list. He's earned it. So I'm glad you brought that up as a discussion because I agree with it, and I wish we would see this less often. This bias against fighters from people who don't remember it in the context that they should. It's something that I think we should address more often.
Sean's got a good one here. Pantoja Mayfield. Guys, this is where I am on the Usyk.
I can't stand the whole took lightly thing. I don't know.
Well, I hate
that shit.
I'm going a little bit the opposite. I think Steve Usyk is that good, guys. I think Steve Usyk in the next 3 years, we're going to know he's a number 1 contender, or he will be a UFC flyweight championship. That's what I took from Saturday night. I think Usyk is that good. He's still growing and rising as a mixed martial artist. And I think we're going to see him in this top 4, top 5 conversation in the UFC flyweight division for the next 5 years. That's how high I am on him.
I think he moves up to 135. That's a big boy. 5'8", 125 pounds, and his body's only growing. I see him as a future like bantamweight contender, if I'm being completely honest, because he could have been and towards the end, not to say he was exhausted, but you definitely could see a little bit tired in him, and that could be from the weight cut because he's a very big boy.
And we talked about that last week in Keelan. I don't know if you remember. We talked about Usyk took this fight this whole card was a little funky, a lot of shorter notice kind of stuff. They put so much time and energy on UFC 300. They should have. We totally get it. And this is like now the opposite effect of what happened of the greatest card of all time. Usyk was the most he's ever weighed going into a fight or fight camp. He was eating KFC. His agent called him, and he put up that whole joke: should I finish the chicken or not? He finished the chicken, and it looked like that. He was big.
Finish that chicken, my man.
Ever weighed. So he might be a bantamweight. Darnell, you might have absolutely nailed it. Real quick, and you said it earlier about you didn't like how Pantoja looked against the number 10th guy. There's times where I think we all agree on how many times has Chimaev been 8th or 10th? There was a time that Tom Aspinall, I remember he was like the 11th ranked heavyweight. We all thought all of us in the industry knew Aspinall was going to be a guy sooner or later. It's like sometimes the ranking because you do have to rate them on what their merit is. But I think a lot of times we know who are the next guys. And I think Usyk was probably better than his ranking. If I say that.
Keelan, are you going to say something?
No, I was just going to say I completely agree with what you guys said. I think, again, another problem that we have with, I don't want to pin this all on the new generation of sort of COVID fan, but a lot of people underestimate fighters just because of how they look. You know, I saw memes about Steven Usyk being like a Walmart employee and these, which were funny. I'm not going to lie, they were pretty funny. But we see people constantly underestimating fighters because they don't look like fighters. Dave, we talked about this last week. Justin Gaethje. No, do you remember that meme about nobody out? If you told your friends this was the most dangerous man on the planet, they wouldn't believe you. You do not get to be a top 10 fighter in the world in your division by being a bum. It's as simple as that. You don't luck your way into it. You don't sort of get good fortune to get into that position. You get into that position because you earn it, plain and simple. That's the way this works. And people, you know, they just underestimated Steven Usyk, and Usyk proved that he is here to stay. You know, he forced the champion into a very underwhelming first defense of his title. That proves that he belongs here. Or second defense, sorry, you're right. But he forced the champion into an not unsuccessful, but a very unconvincing win. And if you can do that to the champion, that proves you can do that to the contenders. So Steven Usyk, for as long as he remains a flyweight, he will be a threat. That being said, I do agree with Darnell. Maybe in the next year or so, I think I see him moving up to 135. Because being 5'8" and 125 pounds, the math doesn't math at that point.
Right. Great question by Dawson. If we can transition to this. I had a very hot take in the first hour, so I'll let it rest for a second, but I would love Darnell's and Keelan's point of view. What is next for Jose Aldo?
When you are a legend like the King of Rio, Jose Aldo, you can do whatever you want. Of course, he's going to get a lot of offers, left, right, left, crazy offers, but I feel like the way I could feel him feeling just so good in there. He was smooth. He was quick, just as fast. Still couldn't be taken down. His stance was different. A lot of different things that you can clearly see that he picked up. You think that man does not want to just taste that bantamweight title, get a big fight against Sean O'Malley? It won't take him that long, and that's why I feel like he'll stay around. You give him one more fight, and he's right there in a title shot. Anybody in that top 8, because they ranked him, he's number 8 now. You give him anybody above that, it's got to be a big fight. They'll probably do it back in Brazil. He fights somebody as a main or co-main event in Brazil, title shot right after. I don't think he goes anywhere. He has a great relationship with the UFC because they let him go out and box in a couple different promotions. So that shows you that they have a great relationship. And if he wants to go box right now, they'll let him go box. But they're like, you know what? You're still going to be signed to us. You know, if we need you back, you know, you're going to come back. But I think he stays. I don't know who the opponent's going to be, but whoever it's going to be in Brazil because Jose Aldo is the final boss of Rio, baby.
The final boss. Keelan, what do you think of Jose Aldo? What is next?
I love Darnell's take, but I have to disagree with it. I think he's going to go box, and I think he might stay there. You know, I mean, I love Jose Aldo as much as I love any fighter. I really do. And I think he is one of the true greats of our sport. But I think there's kind of two problems here. The first problem is there's levels to the bantamweight division. And I mean, there are steep mountain-like levels to the division. I'm not discrediting him one bit. I thought his performance was very impressive against Jonathan Martinez. But if you go and you put him against a Corey Sandhagen, an Umar Nurmagomedov, I think he's going to run into a lot more trouble than he did against Jonathan Martinez.
I think he beats the bricks off of Umar.
Really?
Wow.
Umar can't take him down. He cannot take him down. He will struggle very, very bad. And Umar's striking got exposed to in that last fight when he got rocked in that first round. I think Jose Aldo's very, very, very fast hands is not going to catch him. I think he beats a. I think Corey Sandhagen is going to surprise a lot of people against Umar too.
Oh, I agree. Yeah,
a lot of people. Sorry, but continue.
Yeah, I've been high on Corey Sandhagen since the beginning. I love that dude. I want to see him be champion one day, and I want to see him fight Sean O'Malley. That's a dream super fight for me. I agree. I do agree with Sean. I see what Sean's saying. Put him in v Song Yudong. That's a good shout. It's a good litmus test. See what's going on there. But again, I just think with Jose Aldo, I think the higher you go and the more rarefied the air gets, I just think he struggles a little bit more. And it's not the passion or the desire or the ability. It's just these guys are so good now and they're so multi-dimensional. I don't know if Jose Aldo would have the same joy and success at the very top of this bantamweight division. Not that I wouldn't want him to, I just don't know if he could. And I think if you look at boxing and not just the money, but the level of competition, he could do what Chris Cyborg's doing now, which is kind of flittering between MMA and boxing, picking matches here, there, and everywhere.
Please no. Oh, please no.
Not saying I agree with it.
The Cyborg thing is getting exhausting. I never know when she's fighting. She's all of a sudden popping up in some random boxing promotion where she knows she needs to be fighting Larissa Pacheco. That's what needs to happen. All this other side stuff, Cyborg, Pacheco, need to see it. It's going to be explosive. PFL needs that. It's a great main event.
They do.
I also want the Liam McCourt fight as well. I'm just going to say I want that Liam McCourt Cyborg.
He deserves it.
McCourt's earned that. I agree. Yeah. McCourt has earned that. But Jose Aldo, you know what? Like Darnell said, he can do whatever he wants to do, and I'm going to agree with it because I like Jose Aldo, and I want him to do his thing.
I absolutely agree on all parts, but what I said in the first hour, maybe it was hot tea. I'm going to stick with it. I don't think he ever fights for the UFC again. I don't. It was his last fight on the contract. All this really seemed kind of last second. They needed a draw for this Rio card. They go, hey, how about the King of Rio? They made it happen. I'm happy that he won that fight. Like I said, guys, he was at Game Bred Boxing. I was lucky enough to cover it when he was there. He was awesome. So cool to everyone, polite to everyone, shook everyone's hand. I even have more love and respect for Jose Aldo now than I did before. I just think he will get big opportunities outside the UFC. And the UFC, it's weird. Jose Aldo's in a weird spot. Max Holloway's been a challenge crusher, a contender crusher for years with Yair and with other fighters, and they kind of had Ilya skip the line because they wanted to make sure he would get that shot. You don't want, in a weird way, guys, you don't want Jose Aldo crushing contenders in the future if they don't plan on giving him that title shot. The only thing I would see if the UFC is 100% pro Jose. But it's like one of those things, guys. Is the UFC smart to kind of give him pronouns, Jose Aldo, a big match against Dominic Cruz or Song? He wins that, then you give him a title shot. If he wins that, what is Jose going to do next? Like, I don't see Jose having a 6-fight run right now. Do you want Jose retiring with your title? It's like the Bret Hart versus HBK. You got to pass the torch. And I think in a weird way, the UFC was probably hoping he would pass the torch to Jonathan Martinez Saturday. He did it. Jose looked phenomenal. I agree with Mystic on that. I just don't know if they want Jose Aldo crushing more contenders in the future.
It's so crazy for me to see when Jonathan Martinez was the favorite in that fight against Jose Aldo, who's the best one of the best kick defenders and the best kick givers as well. And that's Jonathan Martinez's strength. Where else was he going to beat Jose Aldo there? Takedowns? No. Punching? When has Jonathan Martinez ever been a very heavy puncher? I feel like that wasn't too crazy of a, I guess because we didn't see Jose for a while and people would say age. He's still 37 years old. He's not even that old and he still looks good, still in shape, still fast.
No, with that being said, he's got MMA miles though on him. He's been
He does.
Jose's been fighting forever. So 3-4 times a year in the WEC against guys that we think are legends now, and Faber and Mike Brown and so on and so on. Like Jose is an all-timer. All-timer. That's why he's in the UFC Hall of Fame. First ballot.
I have a question for you guys. How much time do we have, by the way, dude?
Unlimited, my man. We're on the internet. Unlimited.
Oh, you're right. We are. I got a good one for you guys. And this has been just irking me real bad for the past, I guess, month or two. Should John Jones be stripped of the UFC heavyweight title at this point? He hasn't fought in a year.
Yes, he should.
He hasn't fought in a year. Trust me, I love John Jones as much as the next person. But why are we waiting this long to see John Jones fight? John Jones, who is going to be probably a year and a half since he's fought, to fight Stipe Miocic, who hasn't fought in almost 3 years. 3 years to fight, and Lord knows when that's going to happen. When we got a fresh superstar in Tom Aspinall. waiting to fight a John Jones, waiting to defend his title. Why is the UFC giving John Jones all this unlimited time when he's only proven, when he has too much time, that it just turns into something not good?
It's absolute spot on point for sure. There's just times in life that for Sean O'Malley, if he didn't fight for a year and a half, that title would be stripped. Even as popular as he is, I think even Dana is going to put his foot down and be like, guys, this one time, they want that fight so bad. They want Stipe and Jones. Even Jones talked about it on social media. I really do think they have the date. I think it's happening in New York in November of 2024. Like, I really think it's happening. If Stipe somehow doesn't make it or Jones doesn't make it to that, then they probably need to move on because they've tried it literally for a whole year in the works. I get it. You're right. But sometimes in life, it doesn't make sense. There's probably numerous examples to give you, but just sometimes in life, John Jones, maybe inside the octagon, guys, the greatest we've ever seen, deserves a little bit of leeway. It shouldn't be right. And I hate to go that route, but it's just like he kind of is grandfathered into this fight. He really is.
It's going to be John Jones fighting a grandpa. That's what I heard.
I agree. No, it's not great. I'm a huge Tom Aspinall guy. I just think he's so new, and he is the 2025 heavyweight, guys. He can do it all. He's fast. He's humongous, ground, wrestling, everything in between. I don't think there's a hot take. Tom Aspinall beats John Jones in 2024, 2025. He just definitely does. I know we're at the 2-hour mark, but yeah, I'll keep going if you guys want to keep going. This is a great question with Dawson. Haven't talked about it at all, so appreciate you, Dawson, bringing it on. The retirement from the immortal Matt Brown out of fight camp. It looks like he wanted to fight Jim Miller at UFC 300. Didn't get his wish. Walks away from the sport. What's your guys' take and thoughts on Matt Brown?
That is one. If you want to talk, how people talk about Jim Miller to the Hall of Fame. You better put Matt Brown in the Hall of Fame if you're going to do that. If you're going to do that as well, because Matt Brown has given us amazing memories in that freaking octagon, from all the knockouts, the great battles he's had with a lot of different guys. It's just somebody that I feel like a lot of MMA fans maybe nowadays won't appreciate because they didn't get to watch him in like his heyday. Even though his last fight he had a great knockout against Court McGee, but he's somebody, if you want to get somebody to MMA, you play a couple Matt Brown fights, for sure you're going to get that person to MMA, because that guy was just lethal when he was just up there. I wish he would have got that title opportunity. Unfortunately, Robbie Lawler decided to have a career resurgence in that time period. But we appreciate Matt Brown. He is one of the best fighters that one of the most entertaining fighters we ever got to watch on the Fox cards, the main events against Eric Silva, who they put in there to kind of override him, and he was just like, nope, not gonna happen. I can just think of so many different moments of Matt Brown, and he did it in the most Matt Brown way. He was just like, you know what, I'm good. I'm done. I'm not doing this again. I think they offered him a fight with Max Griffin, and he was just like, I just wasn't interested in that, and it was time to go. So here's to Matt Brown, man. Here's to Matt Brown, the immortal Matt Brown.
The immortal.
Damn right. Listen, if you look up the Street Dictionary, the definition of legend, a picture of Matt Brown is going to be in there. A man who is one of the most entertaining fighters ever. A man who swam with the sharks of the welterweight division and lived to tell the tale of it as well. Not only lived, but thrived against some of them. His fight against Carlos Condit, yes, he lost, I know that, but one of my favorite fights that I've ever seen. The inventor of the Hellbow. Can you imagine how sick of a fighter you are to then name an elbow after you because you're so violent with it? That's Matt Brown to a T. And look, the guy is one of my favorite fighters of all time. I'm sad to see him go. I'm not going to lie. I did want to see him fight one or two more times. But look, that guy's earned his opportunity to leave the sport if he wants. The guy's a legend. He's one of my favorite fighters of all time. And the nickname is appropriate because he is immortal. He is immortal to those who know and those who appreciate. He's one of the building block favorites of the UFC, bridging the eras, and he should be recognized and appreciated as such. Matt Brown is a legend, and I wish him nothing but the very best and the happiest of retirements. Briefly switching gears onto the John Jones question, which was a great question, Darnell. In 1982, Clubber Lang said to Rocky Balboa, "You got your shot, now give me mine." That's the exact situation we are in. Defend or vacate, John. I'm tired of this nonsense of, I'm going to fight Stipe Miocic because people wanted to see this in 2017. Nobody wants to see it. I am not interested in you demolishing a 41-year-old fireman from Cleveland. I'm not interested. I don't want to see you fight Stipe Miocic. We all know you're going to demolish him. You're going to get up in the cage, do your little drum and cymbal celebration, and then retire. We all know what this is about. Either fight Tom Aspinall or leave that belt where it is, because I'm tired of him holding up this heavyweight division. You got your shot years ago. Give Tom Aspinall his. He's won the interim title. For God's sake, he's even having to defend the interim title if the co-op arena actually gets built in time for the event. He's defending this belt at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. in the morning where we are. If he's not given a shot after this, then I don't know what to tell you, but either John Jones fights Tom Aspinall or strip his ass of the belt, because I'm fed up of waiting.
I just got a secret DM that I will tell you guys, especially Darnell, I think will be very intrigued what I just got. But with that being said, you just mentioned something and it's like a whole nother bricks. I had it on my notes to talk about it on this show for 2 weeks now. Guys, I am American. I live in Florida. I love when the pay-per-views, sometimes even the pay-per-views are too late for an East Coaster. What they're doing to the Manchester crowd is just, I think, dead wrong. Like, if you're going into your home, if Darnell invites me over for dinner, it's Darnell's rules. I'm in his home. If he wants me to take off my Jordan 4s, black and red, I'll take off my Jordan 4s, black and red. It's his home. We, as the UFC is going into Manchester, their home, I would assume Aspinall is the main event. Leon's the gets below, right? We assume it's going to be a mega card. Patty and Bobby Green. We expect MVP will be on this card. It's going to be epic. There's no way those guys should be fighting at 2:30 and 3:30 a.m. I don't care what anyone says. They can try to turn around their time and all that stuff. It's still, I would assume none of those guys will be at 100% peak fighting, style. I think it's a bad move. I really do.
There's been times in the past where they fought at weird times, and I feel like they just have to adjust to it in training to kind of put their bodies in that time. Well, you know what? I guess it won't be as bad because let's say somebody's fighting in Florida, right? And the time is going to be correct for us. They just have to stay on the same time schedule, honestly, because when they go over there, it's just pretty much for a couple of days until you fight, and it takes your body a long time to recover. But I feel bad for the people. For the fighters, they're going to be fine. But for the people, for sure, man, to 3 o'clock in the morning, that's not going to be exciting. But the European fans are some of the best fans we have, period. And those people are going to be, excuse my French here, fucking lit in there and going crazy for whoever fights. Get the fucking black tea ready in the morning, the Earl Grey tea in the morning. Get those damn mimosas, everything, the beers. We're getting crazy. A couple pints, we're getting wild in there. I kind of want to go, and I'm getting hyped now. I kind of want to go. Experience at 3 o'clock in the morning with these people. They're going to be crazy in those streets. Let's go. Let's go.
I love it.
What's this DM, though? You just got the secret DM.
I just got the secret DM. Let's just, I don't want to tell it who it's from yet, but let me say what it says. We wanted to give you a heads up. We're releasing major news that will change the industry forever in the bare knuckle world space. We hope that we can talk to you later about it, of getting together. Talk to you soon.
Ooh.
Damn.
Oh, baby. Uh-oh.
So, I don't know. Something big is happening.
Something's happening. All right.
I love it. So there we go. Wait, dude. No curtain here in Fight Bananas. We give it out. We gave out a Dustin Poirier signed shirt to a fan, and it's gonna be crazy. We're gonna have video of it. I cannot wait.
That's love.
Dave, on the topic of this Manchester card, I want to put a shotgun in my mouth. I'm gonna be honest. I can't take this anymore.
No.
Dave, the disrespect. I mean, you go to Manchester, England. I can tell you as a Manchester City supporter, some of the best fans you will find anywhere on this planet that we call Earth. Some of us anyway. And you put that card at 3 a.m. No, absolutely not. When fighters go to the US, they go for their camp 2-3 weeks ahead so they can adjust to the time zone. It's what, like Darnell said, it's what you do. It's part of the process. You want Tom Aspinall walking out into the Manchester arena at 6 a.m. yawning. What's the matter with you? Did nobody learn anything from UFC 204 Bisping v. Henderson? Did no one learn anything from that? Do you want a bunch of crazy Mancunian people running around Manchester at 7 a.m. in the morning, probably taking a mix of substances? I'm not going to say which because we try to keep it clean on the Fight Banana show. You want a bunch of drunk manx running around Manchester, around Piccadilly at 7 a.m. in the morning after that fight card? No, it makes no sense. And to be fair, I actually want to thank our American fans, our American MMA fans, because even they have all said we actually would like an earlier card because it makes no sense for you guys either. We've got to stay up to like 5:45 a.m. for a co-main event with Bilal Muhammad and Leon Edwards. We're assuming that's the case. And you guys get screwed out of it as well because it's probably going to be 2 a.m. by the time it finishes for you. So congratulations to UFC. You've managed to make a situation where nobody wins. Great job. Dickheads.
Keelan coming in hot, boy.
I've had enough of this, Dave. Honestly, we work so hard to be fans, right? And then we think, great, we've got UFC 304. We've got a numbered pay-per-view again.
Yeah, I agree.
It's fine by me as well, Sean. I can live with that part. But the fans work so hard. I mean, you guys don't understand, right? See, when it's like a Vegas card and it's like 6 a.m. and we're getting through it and we're in the trenches trying to make it work. We get a numbered pay-per-view. We're like, great, thank you, MMA Jesus. We've got a card. We've got the best fighters of the UK on this card. And you put it at 3 a.m. Do you understand how much of a slap in the face that is to UK fans who spend their weekends of every year suffering through the time zone difference to accommodate the US? It sucks.
No,
and it's no fun for me either because we're going to do a live stream for UFC 304, I'm pretty sure. And I'm still going to end up the most dead out of everybody, even though it's in my time zone. Oh, you know what, Dave? This feels like discrimination. I'm going to be completely honest.
Well, Keelan, we're going to end this thing with some good news. Can you tell the world, because, dude, Fight Bananas fans, they love you, Keelan. You're a part of the fabric here at Fight Bananas. Can you tell us some good news you got over the last couple of days?
Yes, I can, Dave. Firstly, thank you for teeing this up for me. I appreciate the plug. Very kind of you. Didn't have to do it, but I appreciate it anyway. I want to thank everybody, for the love and the comments and stuff. It's been really, really beautiful to see, and I really appreciate it. I'm moving to Barcelona in Spain, although some don't consider themselves part of Spain. Not trying to start things before I get there, but I'm moving there to take up a media job, taking my first steps in the actual media world. I'm working for Dorna Sports as part of the World Superbike Championship. So yeah, if you guys follow F1, first of all, stop watching F1 and start watching bike racing because it's much better than F1. We don't charge $200 for Maine lobsters, Dave. Did you see this? An absolute obscenity, a violation of the people. We don't charge $200 for food when you go to the events. We have a better product. We have better fans. And we've got better talent, more importantly. We don't have Max Verstappen winning every race. There's been like 12 different winners this year already. So first of all, become a Fight Bike fan if you aren't already. Secondly, if you are interested in following the World Superbike Championship, please do. It's a great championship, some of the best riders in the world, and I'm incredibly excited to be a part of it. So thank you for this public service announcement, and I will hand it back to Dave.
Let's go.
Course, brother. Hey, I don't watch F1. I got the UFC to watch. I got Canelo to watch. Canelo, really, I love that fight, guys. I don't know if you guys were into it. I love the Canelo fight. I'm watching my New York Knicks win playoff series and rounds and games. I'm in a good thing right now. I'm watching WWE Raw. We watching SmackDown at the house. It's a busy time right now in the Van Auken house. We got our basketball league set up. My 8-year-old son Dylan right there. We're picking up the ball. We got practice on Tuesday. So life is good in the Van Auken house. But anything that Keelan does, we will follow. We will share. We will be watching. So can't wait. Darnell, we're going to end it with you, my man. Anything you want to plug, push, promote, you want to talk about Joseph Benavidez more, we'll cut this up, send the reel, and send it to Megan ourselves. Anything you want, brother.
No plugs, just hugs. Thank you guys for having me here. Fight Bananas. I've been watching every week. You guys are doing a wonderful job. The live streams have been amazing. Hope to be on here more, of course, as time goes on. Let's get active. Let's get moving and grooving. I love this. I love this sport. I love you guys. Let's keep it going. Positivity, baby.
There we go. We need more positive.
I fucking love this, man.
Who was that wrestler that came on like the rolly thing? He had a bad hair. It's like the workout guy.
Oh, Simon.
Yes.
Simon Dean.
Simon Dean.
Yeah.
Simon Dean.
Ooh, that was a hard one. I know that was
a good poll. Good poll. Royal Rumble 2016. Go and watch it, guys. Guys, the Fight Bananas show every Tuesday. We start at 1 p.m. Eastern. We love and appreciate anyone that gives up their time. Elle Dawson, Maddie Levine, Gillian the Savage Robertson, Karate Combat World Champion Ross Levine, Keelan, and my main man, Mystic Black. Tomorrow night, Ben and Bananas, myself, Elle Dawson, and maybe it will be Mystical that night. Tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Friday, we got a show around 2:30 Eastern time. No watch-alongs this weekend for St. Louis. The Van Auckens are very busy on Saturday night, but we will be back. Appreciate everyone and their time. And there will be some breaking news coming very soon into the Fight Bananas land. We'll see everyone next time. Appreciate you guys. And, yeah, stay safe out there, all right? Respect each other. Be good to